Part 53. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 526. Chapter 518, By Yang's Legacy. There are no traces of excavation around the belly of the mountain, which is obviously how it was originally. The cave is extremely flat and dry. There were originally a few stone tables and chairs, but they were all broken. After Su Junming took a look, he passed through the front cave and walked 30 feet along a tunnel 8 feet wide and 1 foot high. After going deep into the mountain, he came to a wider mountain. The belly of the mountain covers thousands of acres and is 5 to 6 feet high. The light is dim, and the surrounding area is full of rubble dug out by sharp tools. The immortal mansion was completely destroyed and was in a mess. On the inside of the mountain, there is a stone tablet 3 feet thick and 2 feet high. The stone tablet has no words and is even ordinary. Su Junming took a look twice, and after walking around the stone monument, a tunnel appeared in front of him. After passing through a tunnel more than 10 feet deep, there is the back cave. This place is deep into the mountain, and it is even darker and damper. However, for Su Junming, who has become an immortal, it is not difficult to see in the dark. Turning his eyes to the cave wall, he saw a series of images of bears and birds stretched out. Counting them carefully, there were 364 in total. This is the rumored illustration of the Biang that has the shape of 100 things and contains infinite changes from past and present. Among the 364 figures, there are only 12 human figures. These 12 human figures happen to be the core of the entire Biang diagram. Decades later, Ling Yunfan was left here by Kui Wogu, a white-haired dragon girl, to learn Biang's illustrations, but she missed the core 12 pairs and learned the animations of flying eagles holding rabbits and wild cranes soaring into the sky. As a result, the foundation was unstable. After the establishment of the Yimei government, it fell short of the level of Sanying and Irayuan, and almost failed Xiu Yuan 13th limit and Yu Yuan Huazai. If his background hadn't been too tough and he had mastered the two most precious treasures, King Yu's Ling and Zaiwu Zhou Cd, he would have been just like Lei Ke, Yu Shiwo and Zhao Yan'er, all destined to be fooled. Of course Su Junming is not as stupid as Ling Yunfan, but Mishan is a direct descendant of the Shangqing dynasty, and his skills in laying down the foundation are also excellent, so there is no need for Biang Tu to interpret it poorly. The more important thing about coming here is to see if we can learn from each other's strengths. Looking at the 12 seated human figures at the beginning, all of them are sitting forward. The first one has his hands facing his knees, his eyes are looking inwards behind the curtains, and his head is slightly drooped. The second head is slightly more upright, with a very calm demeanor. The following 10 seated statues are all like this. However, if you look closely, you can see that each of these seated statues has different folds of clothes, which correspond to the 8 extraordinary meridians and the 12 main meridians. Su Junming sat cross-legged and activated the bronze mirror to meditate. With his current immortal state, he could master a foundation building technique in almost a moment. However, the bears and beasts behind them were delayed for some time. After realizing that nothing was left out, he stood up. Although Bai Yang's diagram is exquisite, it is still far inferior to the Daoist he adapted based on the Mission Foundation building technique, combined the strengths of hundreds of schools of thought, and with the assistance of bronze mirrors. However, the subtleties and mysteries of Biang's illustrations are indeed extraordinary. But it will take a certain amount of time to incorporate its strengths into Dao boxing. Even so, Su Junming feels that the harvest is not small. Turning his head, he looked at Hong Changbao Yuanshen, who was obediently staying aside. "Why, you didn't want to take the opportunity to kill me. Senior is joking, Junior should never dare to have such thoughts." Hong Changbao was not stupid. The restriction was so deep into his soul that it could kill him with just a thought. How could he dare to act rashly in such a situation? After looking at him, Su Junming turned around and with a wave of his hand, the stone pier beside him flew up, and a downward cave appeared in front of him. After flying down and tilting downward for more than 10 feet, a mountainside covered with stalactites appeared in front of him. The belly of the mountain is about 100 square meters. Except for a few of the largest stalactites, the rest have been broken and chopped artificially, leaving a cave in a mess. There is a spring on the east side of the cave. The gurgling water flows down the stone wall, forming a small pool of more than 10 square meters, but it is unknown where it seeps. Su Junming walked to the edge of the pool, regained consciousness for a moment, and smiled calmly. This restriction is quite subtle. With a finger, the water in the pool boiled instantly. Along with the aura, a jade box 2 feet long, 1 foot wide and 8 inches high appeared from scratch and gradually condensed out of the water. With a wave of his hand, the jade box flew into his palm. Seeing this scene, Hong Changbao couldn't help but feel envious. Master Bai Yang was an immortal who had ascended for many years, so the things he left behind were naturally extraordinary. After removing the restrictions on the jade box and opening it, there were 2 pieces of jade, one white and one red, 18 3-inch long silver needles with strong aura, and 2 milky white jade boxes. With the touch of his spiritual consciousness, he understood instantly. Su Junming's face showed joy. What is recorded in this white jade is the main practice method of Biang Zhenren, which is called the Biang Heavenly Book. It not only records the practice methods before the immortal path, but also records the practice methods in the 3 realms of heavenly immortal, true immortal, and Xian law. And this is the authentic Suanmen Taoist method, which is much more useful than the method he got from the Black Demon Taoist and the Black Mountain Old Demon. What's even more rare is that it also records Bai Yang's insights on how to rest in Shaoyang. This thing is very useful to Renwuji. After suppressing the joy in my heart, I went to look at the red jade. The 4 words Biang Needleju reflected in the sea of consciousness. This is a set of acupuncture techniques, the clever use of which opened his eyes. Especially in terms of speed and dexterity, this needle technique is even better than the sword technique. The 18 silver needles are made of Western Taipei fine gold and contain 9 levels of spiritual prohibition. They can be used separately or combined together, called Biang needles. It seems that Master Bai Yang's weapon refining skills are really not that good. Western Taipei fine gold is an immortal material. In his hands, he only made it into a top-grade spiritual treasure. It's really a waste of natural resources. Although I thought so, there was no contempt in my heart. After all, not everyone can make continuous progress on the path of cultivation and at the same time take care of refining weapons. In fact, if it weren't for the magic of the bronze mirror, he would still be hanging out with Uncle Ju. Look at the 2 jade boxes next to them. There are restrictions on each one. This is also understandable. If there is no prohibition protection, the contents inside may lose their medicinal properties. But this ban is not complicated either. After pinching a few seals and patting them, Su Junming opened the jade box as the faint brilliance receded. It is filled with mushroom-like spiritual objects. Pick up a grain with the 2 index fingers of your right hand. When it was in the jade box, it was only the size of a red date, but when it came out of the jade box, it quickly became the size of an adult's palm. A faint light shines from the cap of the mushroom, extremely fine, like a needle. Is this the rumored bait? Feeling the rich spiritual energy in it, Su Junming, who was proficient in medicinal properties, instantly judged that this was an insight-level elixir. After taking it, you can increase your merits. After a simple count, 2 boxes of mango baits attacked 108. There is determination, Taoism, spiritual treasures, and elixirs used to increase one's merits. It is a complete set of inheritance. Shaked his head. I really don't know what Master Bai Yang was thinking. When he didn't ascend, he didn't want to find a disciple to pass on the Taoism. He only left these arrangements after he ascended. If you are afraid of cause and effect, why bother? I closed the box and was about to put it in my bag when I heard a loud shout above my head. "Bold maniac, you still won't let go of Byang's treasure." Along with the fierce shouting, an old woman with white hair and an iron staff rushed from above. Before the person arrived, a mist of 5 colors was already as fast as a galloping horse, covering his head. A spiritual light burst out from Su Junming's head, and when the 5-colored mist touched it, it was like a mud cow falling into the sea, making it difficult to move. With a wave of his big sleeve, the 5-color mist rolled away like a broken bamboo. The light flashed, and the 5-color mist turned into a flashing net bag, which fell into the hands of a middle-aged woman in her 30s with white hair and an iron staff in her hand. The latter looked at Su Junming in surprise and uncertainty, with a solemn expression. "Who is your excellency?" After finally putting the jade box into his sleeve, Su Junming turned his head. "What, why don't you yell at me and kill me?" The white-haired woman's face darkened. Just when she arrived at Byang Cliff, she saw the treasure light shining in the Yuhua cave. She thought that Byang's treasure had appeared, so she hurried in. Because Su Junming's chi condensing skills are so good, unless his cultivation level is higher than his, he won't be able to detect even a tiny bit of chi. But Hong Changbao was different. His evil aura was as conspicuous as a candle in the darkness. The Byang treasure that she had been thinking about for many years was taken away by the evil spirit. The woman was so anxious that she directly used the natal spiritual treasure that she had made. Little did he know that he would be repulsed with just one move. Looking at the aura of the green-robed Taoist opposite, it was obvious that he was already a first-class immortal. Take a deep breath and calm down. The poor Taoist fifth aunt Kui, known as the white-haired dragon girl, don't know the name of my senior. Sure enough, it's her, Su Junming said secretly. The white-haired dragon girl Kui Wogu, the wife of the poor god Ling Hun, has a wide circle of friends. My name is True Lord Chongshan. True Lord Chongshan, after searching through his memory, Kui Wogu had never heard of such a figure in the world of cultivation. However, the world of cultivation was vast and there were many masters who practiced hard all year long and rarely walked outside. Greetings to Senior Chongshan. I saw the treasure here soaring into the sky before. When I came to the cave, I saw that the red python had too much evil energy. I thought that the white sun treasure was obtained by evil spirits, so I stopped it. I didn't mean to target the senior. Seeing that she was neither humble nor arrogant, Su Junming couldn't help but nodded secretly. As expected, he was a beloved disciple of his famous master, Master Lao Xian Jushan. These words were clearly expressed and well-founded, making people unable to breathe. You came to Byang Cave for Byang's treasure. Exactly. Straightforward, no pretense. I have obtained this Byang relic. How are you going to prepare it? Su Junming asked with great interest. The Byang legacy treasure is the legacy of Master Byang. The righteous monks in the world are destined to obtain it. Since this treasure was obtained by the senior, it is naturally the senior's chance. Su Junming thought for a moment, then waved his hand, and a white stream of light flew towards Kui Wogu. The latter quickly caught it and took a quick look and saw that it was a white jade with rich spiritual energy. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 527. I hope you have a well-founded approach and a good understanding of etiquette, so I will give you this White Sun book. As he spoke, he waved his sleeves, grabbed Hong Changbao's soul, and disappeared instantly. Kui Wogu looked excited, held the jade in her hand, and quickly bowed to salute. Thank you, senior, for the gift. Su Junming instantly appeared above Byang Cliff, looking at the sun shining all over the mountain, with a faint smile on his face. If his Chongshan lineage wants to flourish and the world of Chongshan continues to grow, he will inevitably have to compete for the cultivation resources in this world. At that time, there will definitely be conflict with the Imei sect, which is destined to flourish. If you make good friends with Ling Hun and his wife, you will be able to build some kind of incestuous relationship, so that the Ime sect will not pull all the righteous people to their side. Now he finally understands why the three purities fought with bloodshed in the battle of the gods for the sake of inheriting the Taoism. The Buddhists anti-Taoists did not hesitate to go out of their way to spread Mahayana Buddhism to China. To sum it up, just two words. Good luck. The stronger the luck and luck, and the faster the understanding of Taoism. Although Su Junming has a bronze mirror to bless his understanding, no one thinks he can be higher in terms of understanding. Moreover, there is always a limit to the blessing of the bronze mirror on understanding, so he must make early plans for his future. The path to immortality becomes more difficult the further back you go. If there is a chance to strengthen, he doesn't want to give up. The best way to enhance your luck is to use the Pope. This is also the fundamental reason why Su Junming chose to continue to strengthen the Chongshan lineage. In the past, when the Chongshan sect was weak, luck was nothing. After Chiao Shaoxin, Su Huang, and Yan Shixia entered the fairyland one after another, the benefits of luck suddenly became apparent. Su Junming instantly became much more positive. This is also the reason why he asked Qi Sheng to worship such Wolongmen as soon as he entered this world. However, making friends with Ling Hun and Kui Wogu was just a casual move on his part. Anyway, the contents of Biang Tianshu had been written down, and they were not direct descendants of the Chongshan sect, so they would not lose anything by handing them over. It doesn't matter how effective this idle chess move can be. Blacksmith need its own hardware. If the Chongshan sect is strong enough, the role of this free chess game will be greater. While in mid-air, he opened his eyes and examined it for a moment before flying straight to the northwest. After about a few hundred miles, we came to a valley in the lee of the mountain. The ice and snow here are roaring and the cold is freezing. In the empty and lonely valley, ghosts were crying and gods were howling, and dark clouds were gathering. Su Junming flew up in the air, and with a wave of overhaul, the mighty wind blew up, and the dense clouds in the valley were instantly swept away, revealing a Dharma platform in the valley, and a young Taoist on it wearing a grey robe, holding a black banner, and looking frightened. There were some little men about 2 feet tall and poorly dressed around the altar. Looking at Su Junming, who was following the red python behind him, everyone looked frightened. "Who are you, and why did you destroy my altar? Did you make this 100-soul banner?" The young Taoist's cultivation level has reached the golden elixir level, and he also has a few glances. He knew at a glance that the person coming was difficult to deal with, and he was moved in his heart and said quickly, "Senior Rongzhen, this flag was made by my master. I was forced by him to use the souls of these villains to make the 100-soul flag. What's your master's name?" "Taoist Han Zhongliang." Su Junming frowned slightly. Why does this name sound so familiar? Seeing him like this, the young Taoist quietly activated his magic power. Suddenly his body suddenly rose up, he rolled up the 100-soul banner and ran away. Hong Changbao laughed in his heart when he saw this scene. If he could run away so easily, wouldn't he have run away long ago? Su Junming stretched out his hand and an iron chain sank into the young Taoist's body like lightning, capturing his soul in the blink of an eye. Sure enough, Hong Changbao thought to himself. After seeing this Taoist's superb skills along the way, even the famous white-haired dragon girl Kui Wogu, who was the same generation as his master, was defeated by him with one move. Hong Changbao completely gave up the idea of escape. Be an obedient follower, respond to requests, and never run around in order to survive. Su Junming naturally didn't know Hong Changbao's thoughts. In fact, he had no interest in knowing. The left and right are nothing more than a living map that can be removed at will. Activate the soul talisman to check this person's memory. So this person's name is Ni Point? This name is really weird. Looking at the image of this person in his memory, he fell at the feet of a Taoist priest wearing a black robe and a sinister expression. He thought that this person was his master, Hans Han Taoist Zhongliang. In addition to this master, this person also has a senior brother named Five-Wood Ghost Master Fanson. In my memory, Hans Han Taoist Zhongliang seemed to have offended some big shot, and led them to hide in Tibet, and finally came to Biang Mountain. As a result, I accidentally discovered that there is a Lilliputian country here. The three masters and apprentices secretly used the soul of this Lilliputian to practice magic weapons. Moreover, Taoist Hans Han had a certain sense of time and energy, and he actually obtained 13 pages of Biang from the Huaya cave where Taoist Biang practiced in Biang Cliff. Illustration. Zhongliang was stingy. Although he was called a disciple, he had never shown Zijiao the content of the 13 pages of Biang's illustrations, so Su Junming did not know what was recorded in it. But Su Junming finally remembered why the name Hans Han Taoist Zhongliang sounded familiar to him. I vaguely remember that in the Shushan plot, Ling Yunfan discovered the Lilliputian country, beheaded this person, and then accepted several villain apprentices. They seem to be called Jian'er, Xian'er, Shasha, and Mimi. Although the qualifications are only above average, the opportunity is indeed not small. Shasha and Mimi were reincarnated for 3 lives by the god Nefenchuo using the secret method of the 3 phases of the small wheel. After returning to normal bodies, they obtained 2 Buddhist treasures and became apprentices to Ling Yunfan. Their achievements were not small. Jian'er and Xian'er are stronger. The former changed his name to Li Jian and became a disciple of Li Jingxiu, a boy of bliss. This is a person of the same generation as Genren Chenmei. Although Xian'er is not as good as him, he still worships Fairy Han in Baexitan, Minshan. Han Xian's husband is the famous senior immortal Dafang Genren Yuxiu. After her father Da Ming, Han Xiao, ascended to the throne, he left countless treasures to his daughter, the second-generation immortal who was truly born with a golden key in his mouth. On the right path, everyone will give some face. Of course, Ling Yunfan was not born yet, so the so-called 4th primary school certainly did not exist. In Shu Mountain, this story is sandwiched between the 2 key plots of Biang Diagram and Xianyuan Erbao, and Su Junming did not remember it deeply. Otherwise, I wouldn't have remembered it after reading The Memory of Rhinoceros Horn. But when a strange flower shaped like a peony, with green edges and white petals, and a red heart loomed in the middle, appeared in his memory, he couldn't help but be moved. The Purple Mansion Immortal planted Morning Dew Spirit Flower. He once obtained a jade book in the ancient Dragon Court, which was dedicated to recording various immortal roots and spiritual species, and Morning Dew Flower was one of them. It is recorded in the book that this flower was born from the spirit of hardware and the energy of 10,000 years of black ice. It takes 300 years to grow, 300 years to bloom, 300 years to mature, and 900 years to give birth to one plant. The calyx can be used as medicine and is the main ingredient for refining elixirs. The mature golden spiritual fruit peel is innate spiritual gold, which can be used to refine immortal weapons. Flower dew contains innate ice aura. For those who practice the way of ice, this is no less than an elixir. It can be used to increase one's skill, and can also be used to make ice immortal weapons. It has many uses. For Su Junming, who is proficient in alchemy and weapon refining, the allure of Zifu's immortal seeds is much greater than that of immortal weapons. With a wave of his hand, his soul returned to Rhinoceros' body. The latter woke up and just about to speak, a tearing pain suddenly came from his soul. He immediately screamed and rolled on the ground. The tragic look made Hong Changbao and the surrounding villains scream in shock. Hong Changbao, in particular, looked at Su Junming with fear in his eyes. He is not afraid of those sanctimonious monks and Taoists, because most of these people are concerned about their face or some bullshit. They may kill him, but they will not torture him. What he was afraid of was a real villain like Su Junming, who had a high level of cultivation but had no scruples. If they are really provoked, they will also use demonic methods such as torturing the soul. Just like now, that fool must have been hit by some kind of soul-splitting technique. Feeling that it was almost done, Su Junming casually pinched the seal technique and closed the soul-splitting technique. Rhino Horn's screams also stopped, but because of the excessive pain, his body was still twitching and it was difficult to get up. "Do you need me to help you get up?" Su Junming looked cold. Through the memory replay just now, hundreds of people died at the hands of rhinoceros horns, and the culprits are countless. He does not hesitate to use his most vicious methods against such people. "Don't dare, don't dare." The pale rhinoceros horn quickly got up. "Take me to your master's dojo." With a flick of his finger, a ray of light sank into the rhinoceros horn sea of consciousness. The latter instantly felt his soul tighten, and a feeling that he would die at any time with a sharp knife hanging from his neck spread into his heart, in conjunction with the previous soul-breaking pain. In an instant, all the thoughts of resistance in Rhinoceros disappeared instantly. "Senior, over the 2 valleys in front is my master's dojo." Su Junming nodded slightly and glanced at the frightened villain next to him. He raised his hand to break the restrictions on them, and then he turned into light and escaped under the leadership of Rhinoceros. Although a few of these villains have good qualifications, they do not have the kind of talent that Shi Sheng has. Among lonely monks, it may be worthy of attention, and may even be used to pass on the Taoism. But for Su Junming, who has a world of Chongshan and a population of nearly 1 billion, there are simply too many disciples who look like middle-class people. Instead of wasting time here, it would be better to go find the immortal root spirit seed that you are longing for as soon as possible. Rhinoceros led Su Junming over 2 hills, and soon came to a crack that was 100 feet long and no more than 3 or 4 feet wide. Going down through the crack, it actually gets wider and wider, like an inverted funnel, with a width of 100 acres below. "This place is so secretive. After Master took me and my senior brother to escape to Biang Mountain, my enemies might find out that we have been living in seclusion in this ice valley. Even if we have to use the soul to practice, we will mostly do it outside." While talking, he led Su Junming to a cave. This cave is deep into the mountain. The entrance is 7 feet wide and 1 foot high. The lintel of the door is inscribed with the 4 words "Broken Ice Immortal Mansion." In front of the cave door, there lay a large lizard that was 3 feet long, red in color, and had 3 tails. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 528. This is the 3-tailed salamander raised by Master. It has extremely poisonous claws and can spit fire from its mouth, Rhinoceros said quickly. Looking at the flattering smile on his face, Su Junming found that dealing with these evil heretics was much easier than dealing with the righteous ones. As long as you use domineering methods to convince them, everyone will be obedient and honest. With a flick of his hand, the 3-tailed salamander opened his eyes and was about to pounce, but was instantly sealed in place by the sealing talisman. With a wave of his big sleeve, a violent wave swept up the monster, flying 10 feet away, and landed with a bang, splashing rubble all over the ground. Looking at the opening of the cave, he stepped in. "Senior, there are restrictions." Before Rhinoceros could finish his words, he saw the restriction sealing the cave flickered and then shattered. "Boy, don't be in a daze, follow up quickly, be careful to prevent the seizure." After Hong Changbao finished speaking, he flew into the cave. Rhino Horn shuddered and quickly followed. He never wanted to try that soul-splitting pain again in his life. After passing through a cave that was more than 10 feet long, a large mountain belly with a width of more than 10 acres appeared in front of us. When Su Junming heard the footsteps, he looked at the stone table and chairs, as if looking at the mountainside with nothing unusual, and smiled faintly. Little tricks. With a flick of his finger, the spiritual light touched Sha Na in the space at the center of the mountain, and the green yin fire burned instantly. The yin fires, although not warm, conveyed a coldness that penetrated the soul. 5 Ghosts and Yin Fire. Hong Changbao has been practicing for hundreds of years, so he is certainly a knowledgeable person. This is a treasure refined by the phosphorus fire collected by the master for thousands of years. It is one of the 3 treasures of his town. Senior, please be careful, Zijiao said. Su Junming didn't say much. He opened his palms and a complex 5-color divine pattern shined. In an instant, all the 5 ghost yin fires flew toward his palm like moths rushing to the flames, and in the blink of an eye they were compressed into a dark green bead the size of a dove egg. Although he knew that his cultivation was extraordinary, Zijiao was still shocked that he could so easily subdue the 5 ghosts and yin fire that his cheap master had painstakingly trained. After bypassing the screen in front and passing through a tunnel more than 10 feet long, we came to a quiet room. The furnishings in the quiet room are not luxurious. Apart from the cloud bed and futon for meditation, there is only a large stone urn placed in the corner next to it. Su Junming walked straight to the stone urn, which contained 13 sapphire slabs as big as pot lids. He opened his mouth and projected a burst of energy, like an arrow from a string, splitting the brains of a dozen 2-headed basilisks coiled in the stone urn. Some despicable methods may not work on people who have not yet achieved immortality, and it will be even worse for him. He activated his magic power, held the 13 jade plates, took out the stone urn, and spread them out in front of him one by one. After reading the contents carefully, Su Junming felt that he had gained a lot. Among these 13 jade tablets, there is recorded a method of the Xianyang scripture, an elixir method, and 13 elixir prescriptions. Judging from Biang Zhenren's account, this elixir technique and elixir prescription were inherited by the immortal Taoist predecessors who originally practiced in the Yuhua cave on Biang Cliff. Because he is not good at refining alchemy, and there is already a more difficult Biang Book of Heaven. Instead of practicing the Xianyang Sutra, he sealed it deep in the cave. I originally wanted to leave it as a gift, but unexpectedly, it was measured by the Han's Han Demon Dao Bell. Su Junming did not attach much importance to the Xianyang manual, a method that could only be practiced to achieve immortality. On the contrary, the 13 pill prescriptions at the back were the harvest that he cared about most. In particular, the 3 elixir prescriptions are of greatest help. After receiving these 13 illustrations of the white sun, Su Junming searched the entire cave but found nothing more, let alone the location of the morning dew flower. It seems that he took it with him. Where is your master? Senior, according to this, there is a large tomb 300 miles away. The tomb's owner, Wu Hua's father and son, are highly cultivated and fierce. All monks within a radius of 500 miles are under the control of their father and son. There was news a few days ago that the father and son were moving to a new home, and all the demons and Taoist priests under his command were sent to congratulate them. So this morning, my master and his senior brothers rushed there, leaving me here to look after the house. Su Junming nodded slightly and thought to himself. Judging from the timeline, Wu Hua's father and son and Qianqi haven't stolen the Xianyuan second treasure yet. Did you know that there is a Xianyuan mausoleum nearby? Rhinoceros nodded. 50 miles to the north from here is where the mausoleum is. However, there are many restrictions there, and no one can enter. With the seal blessed by 16 true immortals and suppressed by the holy tomb talisman, of course you can't get in. Otherwise, Haoshan Beijian and Juyi Cauldron would have been acquired by others long ago. However, as the 1,000-year catastrophe of the immortals is approaching, the seal of the holy tomb will also decline. It won't be long before Wu Hua's father and son dig a tunnel through the weakest underground to obtain 2 treasures. After nodding slightly, Su Junming walked to the front room and sat down in an empty place. Seeing him like this, Zijiao and Hong Changbao didn't dare to speak and sat down obediently in the corner. At this moment, hundreds of miles away, in a large tomb deep underground. In the tomb, which covers an area of more than 10 acres, there was a roar of joy as people drank wine and drank wine. Sitting on the main seat in the middle is a man with a head like a fence, a wide mouth and a lion's nose, beard, strange clothes, and several feet tall. To his left was a taller skeleton with a leopard skin around his waist and a ferocious aura. On the far right is a man who is also wearing ancient clothing and is several feet tall. He looks somewhat similar to the man in the middle, but his aura is extremely ferocious. 3 demons sat at the top, and below there were more than 20 monks, Taoists, and Confucians, sitting in pairs. We congratulate the 3 great kings on their eternal cultivation and common pursuit of immortality. Sitting first on the far left, the tall and thin Taoist priest in red robe stood up and said, "Congratulations to the 3 great kings." Everyone picked up their wine glasses. With a loud laugh, the man in the middle of the main seat stood up. "It is the greatest blessing for me, my father and my son, to be able to turn the war with my brother Kyanki into friendship today. From now on, the 3 of us will never stop fighting and practice the immortal way together." The skeleton with the leopard skin around its waist opened its mouth. "Forever put an end to war and practice the immortal way together. Haha, okay. Come on, comrades, please drink this cup to the full." While they were drinking wine, there was a middle-aged Taoist in the crowd who was wearing a black Taoist robe, a lotus crown on his head, and a very conspicuous black mole on his chin, but he was always uneasy. After finally waiting until the banquet was over, he grabbed Zhongyang, the golden flower cult leader whom he knew as his best friend. This gentleman was in the East China Sea when he went fishing for Aoji to steal medicine. He was beheaded by Qi Shuming, one of the 3 immortals of the East China Sea. However, he escaped from Yuanying and hid in Wuhua clan with his son Zhonggan and 3 disciples. Although the process was embarrassing, it was also a bit embarrassing. But being able to escape from the hands of Qi Shuming, the master of Kinkanjenki Miaoi, the leader of the sect, shows that this person is very capable. "Brother." Zhongyang, who was wearing a purple robe, turned around. "What's wrong, second brother?" Because both of them had the same surname as Zhong, they were very fond of each other. After getting to know each other, they formed a blood alliance and became sworn brothers. Zhongyang, the leader of the Jinhua cult of perfect nascent soul, is his brother, and Zhongliang, the Han Taoist in the middle nascent soul stage, is his younger brother. A few days ago, I visited the Yuhua cave on Biang Cliff again, and accidentally got a Biang illustration from it. Biang diagram. Zhongyang's eyes suddenly lit up. Master Bai Yang's name is almost unknown to everyone in the entire cultivation world. His dojo, Bianja Yuhua Cave, is well known to everyone. It is said that after Biang Taoist ascended to heaven, he left a legacy in the cave, including a needle technique and 2 boxes of mango bait. Therefore, I don't know how many people have visited Bianja Yuhua Cave, but have gained nothing. Zhongyang himself is one of them. He lowered his voice and said, "Is what the second brother said true? How can such a thing be faked? If you don't believe me, brother, I will teach you a lesson first." Zhongliang memorized a section of the Xianyang scripture. Zhongyang's expression instantly became excited. He has also practiced Taoism for many years, and is one step closer to breaking through the existence of the soul, so he can naturally understand the authenticity of a Taoist scripture. Second brother is really blessed to have the Taoist lineage of Master Bai Yang. Zhongyang was full of envy. This was the true biography of the immortals, a treasure book that countless people in the side sects could only hope to obtain. "Brother, what you said is wrong. You and I, brothers, have long made an oath to share blessings and share hardships. This book of Taoism by Master Bai Yang is not only my blessing, but also your blessing, brother." Zhongliang lowered his voice and moved closer to Zhongyang. "Brother, you and I are always dependent on others in Biang Mountain and cannot be free. In my opinion, it is not as good as our fellow practitioners Biang Tuja. If we are successful in practice, we will also open a sect of our own, which will also be called a sect in the future. Ancestor, wouldn't it be better? Zhongyang calls himself the Golden Flower Cult Master, so he is naturally very interested in starting a sect. Zhongliang's flattering words instantly ignited Zhongyang's ambition. What the second brother said is true. A glimmer of light flashed in Zhongliang's eyes, and he said quickly, "Brother, Biang illustration is now placed in the cave by my younger brother. Why don't you bring my nephew and a few senior nephews with you?" Zhongyang nodded, but quickly denied it. "Not yet, Wu Hua is suspicious, we can't all leave. In this case, I will take Ganner first. After you and I have achieved success in practice, it will not be too late to pass it on to my disciples. Brother is more thoughtful, so let's leave it at that. You wait here first, I'll go talk to Wu Hua. Brother, you can go ahead. My younger brother is waiting here." Looking at Zhongyang's leaving figure, Zhongliang's eyes flashed. Just now in the middle of the banquet, he suddenly realized that the restrictions in his cave were broken, and the three treasures of the cave, the 5 ghosts and yin fire, were taken away. Obviously, a powerful enemy is coming. Zhongliang, who was killed by Jendao and fled all the way to Biang Mountain, hiding in a remote place, is now a frightened bird. He wanted to run away directly, but he was afraid that what he expected would go wrong. It's not that the enemy is coming, but other situations. So after thinking about it over and over again, he decided to use the secret of Biang Heavenly Book to tempt Zhongyang to go with him. If you encounter a master of the righteous path, he will be able to defend you. As the saying goes, a dead Taoist friend will never die a poor Taoist. It didn't take long, and Zhongyang quickly walked out, followed behind him by what he thought was a young man wearing a pink robe and a pair of peach blossom eyes. It was Zhongyang's son who fled here from the East China Sea with him. Become a disciple of Taoist priest Four Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 529. Chapter 521, Red-Haired Ancestor. After joining the Zhong family and his son, Zhongliang took his eldest apprentice, the 5-wood ghost master Fanson, and the 4 of them flew towards their cave together. The distance of several hundred miles can be reached within an hour for Yuanying monks. Zhongyang, who had been here once before, flew into the valley with ease. Second brother, where is your cave-guarding spirit beast? Not seeing the 3-tailed salamander, Zhongliang's face looked a little unnatural. Maybe my rhinoceros horn took him to feed him. That beast keeps making trouble without eating and drinking enough. It's really annoying. He waved his hands pretending to be worried. Brother, let's not talk about that beast anymore, let's go in and talk. Although he felt something unusual, Zhongyang, who was eager to understand Bai Yang's diagram, nodded and strode into the cave. Zhongliang, who was secretly on guard, fell half a step behind without leaving any trace. A group of people came to the front cave. At a glance, he saw the young Taoist sitting there cross-legged, with a green gourd hanging on his waist, wearing a green robe, and his hair hanging casually on the back of his head. Not far behind the Taoist, a large red-scaled python was coiled into a snake formation, with a cool and spiritual look in its eyes. There was another young Taoist huddled in the corner with a cowed expression. When the 4 of them stopped, Zhongyang turned around and said, "Second brother, is this the person you invited?" "No." Zhongliang's face was full of vigilance. He held a long black flag tightly in his left hand and a cyan magic sword in his right hand. "You are finally here. It really made me wait." Zhongyang, who knew something was wrong by looking at Zhongliang's expression, casually waved his hand, and a pair of fiery red iron hooks flew straight towards Su Junming. The sharp energy cut through the air, making a hissing sound. "Ding," King Yu's voice sounded. In the unbelievable eyes of Zhongyang and others, a thick-jointed finger blocked the extremely sharp iron hook. The good Binghuo spirit iron was actually transformed into a pair of 9 forbidden magic weapons by you. What a waste of nature. Following the voice, a black copper bell flew out of his palm. There was a boom sound. The four people who were just about to escape suddenly looked dull, and the mana aura in their bodies also faded. As Su Junming advanced to the immortal path, the power of the soul-falling bell naturally became stronger. After a small test, he successfully defeated the enemy. He stretched out his hand and made a move, and the magic bag on Zhongliang's waist flew into his palm. After opening it eagerly, his eyes lit up and he took out a jade box. Violently break through the restrictions above. In an instant, the spiritual light surged. The innate golden energy and ice energy overflowed the entire cave. In the bright green and white aura, two blue and white strange flowers came into view. Although the color is the same, the appearance is different. The one on the left is obviously weaker, and the flower heart is not a golden fruit, but a red heart the size of a fingertip. The one on the right, in the white calyx, is a golden bead the size of a dragon's eye, blooming with 5 colors of light. It is indeed the morning dew spirit flower. After being happy, Su Junming cursed again. What a waste of nature! What a waste of nature! This plant is obviously not mature yet, so why was it picked? As an alchemist, he likes to collect and cultivate various spiritual plants, and he hates others trashing things. After shaking his head and calming down, his heart moved. Along with the spiritual light, a small green tree, 3 feet tall, divided into 4 layers from top to bottom, with a total of 11 leaves, emerged from above the head. When Hong Changbao and Zijiao saw the small tree, for some reason they always felt that the tree had a majestic and vicissitudes of atmosphere. It seems that it is not only 3 feet, but tens of millions of feet huge. This small tree is the palace treasure tree. When he crossed over from the world of Chongshan, he brought him here with him. It was also in order to bring it that it took 3 years to accumulate spiritual energy and activate the cross-border teleportation array. With a wave of his hand, Zhongyang and his son, Zhongliang's master and apprentice, and Hong Changbao instantly flew up and disappeared into the top leaves of the palace's treasure tree along with Su Junming. Arrive at the square in front of Kongshanju. Master, you are back. Hefeng, the gatekeeper, came up to him. He nodded, and with a thought in his heart, a middle-aged man wearing a red Taoist robe flew out of his sleeves. It was Hong Changbao's body. He glanced at the latter who looked expectant. Go ahead. Thank you, Masato. The red phosphorus python surrounded the man's waist, and the man opened his eyes instantly. Niukui. Su Junming's message traveled thousands of miles. Not long after, a bolt of lightning flew from below and turned into a tall and sturdy man wearing a purple robe. Master. Take the 6 of them to the White Tiger Palace and imprison them. The world of Chongshan was opened, and after the palace treasure tree advanced into a fairy root, it once again grew 4 leaves. It is divided into 4 halls, Qinglong, White Tiger, Suzaku, and Suanwu. There is Taiyuan Cave in Qinglong Hall. The White Tiger Palace is a newly opened prison. In the future, Su Junming would not be prepared to fight and kill those evil people again as he did before. Instead, he planned to accumulate some and pass them to Ao Tian who was still in Chongshan world through the cross-border teleportation array. What a great free labor, no need to regret it. With their selfless dedication, the efficiency of the Emperor Tower in refining acquired chaotic energy will only become higher and higher. He casually threw the magic bags and magic weapons collected from the 6 people to the black dog. Tidy up. Yes, sir. Originally, Su Junming had always been responsible for collecting the spoils of war, but now that he was in a hurry to cultivate the morning dew spirit flower, he left it to Hefeng to do it for him. Dogs are loyal and trustworthy. When I came to the creation spirit pond in the backyard, I was proud of the abundant spiritual energy support from the Shushan world. There was much more creation spirit water in the creation spirit pond than before. The green hair on the 9 white lotuses is much denser than before, and the golden lotus light is becoming purer. The creation spirit fetus next to it was surrounded by rich spiritual energy, and the spiritual light fluctuated as if it was breathing. Climb onto the creation spirit island in the middle. Su Junming found an empty place. He reached out and grabbed it, 4 bamboo sticks with flashing spiritual patterns covering a 3-foot radius. In an instant, the spiritual energy surged inside, and the golden spiritual energy and ice energy flourished. All elixirs need a suitable growth environment. What Su Junming is doing now is to use formations to construct an environment that is most suitable for the growth of morning dew spirit flower. As he waved, a stream of 3-color spiritual water flew over. After the creation spiritual pond was promoted to the innate spiritual treasure, the creation spiritual water in it became more and more mysterious. The 3-color spiritual water submerged into the morning dew spirit flowers. It was visible to the naked eye that they had withered and regained their vitality again. After Su Junming sprinkled the spiritual water 3 times, the lost roots grew back. After carefully planting it, Su Junming looked at the vigorous morning dew flower with a satisfied smile on his face. Zizi! A 5-foot-tall young man with a lavender body emerged from the ground. Master! The morning dew spirit flower is rare and rare. I selected an elf to be responsible for its cultivation. Yes. After admiring it for a while, Su Junming felt extremely satisfied and left the spirit island. Master, everything is packed. Here is the list. Please take a look. Black Wind moved very quickly. After taking it and taking a look, there was nothing surprising. He stretched out his hand and a long bloody knife flew into his palm. This demon-turned blood sword is the highest grade among all treasures. It is a blood spiritual treasure of the 10 spiritual taboos. The usage of Wosangyushi's 7 kills blood transforming divine sword he had seen in the mountain and sea realm was similar to that of the one he had seen, and the power was also similar. However, the heavenly demon's blood transforming divine sword was not made with the power of Zhou Tianxing, but was made with a piece of 10,000-year-old yin bone as its body and refined. The so-called 10,000-year-old yin bone is a strange animal or human bone with yin attributes. It has been buried in the yin veins for thousands of years. After absorbing enough yin energy and evil spirits from the earth veins, it is a Shay yin treasure. As long as the sacrificial training techniques are not bad, you can easily create an immortal weapon. Looking at the ritual training techniques of the heavenly demon blood divine sword, it was obvious that the red-haired ancestor had some research on weapon refining, although he was not very clever. But among the so-called demonic treasures that are crude, and whose achievements are all based on the accumulation of human lives, it is already considered good. It's a pity that it's not suitable for me after all. Su Junming's palms showed a yin and yang pattern, and when they were closed inward, powerful grinding power exploded, and the light of the heavenly demon's blood divine sword surged. Waves of blood blocked the yin and yang spiritual light. Haha, red-haired ancestor, you are not an immortal after all. The yin and yang spiritual light shined brightly, the devil-turned blood sword screamed, and the spiritual prison instantly shattered. Thousands of miles away, in a forbidden valley secret room. The middle-aged Taoist with red robes and red hair suddenly opened his eyes, with an angry look on his face. Damn it! With a bang palm strike, violent waves rolled, the closed stone door opened instantly, and the red-haired Taoist turned into light and came to the outside. The disciple on duty saw him and quickly knelt down. See the patriarch. Where is Hong Changbao? Find him for me. Seeing the livid look on the patriarch's face, no one wanted to get into trouble and ran out quickly. Not long after, a disciple who had left flew back, knelt down, and said tremblingly, "For Father Chi, senior brother Hong has not returned since he left the mountain more than 10 days ago. Get out of here, get out of here." With a wave of his sleeves, violent waves rolled up, and several disciples on duty instantly turned into rolling gourds and flew out in embarrassment. After venting his anger, the red-haired ancestor took a deep breath and finally suppressed his anger. Who is it? Who took away my demonic blood-transforming sword? After his expression changed, he stretched out his hand and several rays of precious light flew into his sleeves from the secret room. His whole body turned into a shocking bloody light and rushed out of the valley in an instant, flying towards the northwest. At the moment when the soul in the heavenly demon's blood divine sword was destroyed, he vaguely felt that it seemed to be somewhere in the northwest. Although it was not accurate, the red-haired ancestor also wanted to try. Otherwise, he really wouldn't be willing to do it. After shattering the heavenly demon and transforming it into the blood divine sword, Su Junming threw a ball of blood that was completely condensed with essence and blood into the Tiangong furnace to remove impurities with the innate cold fire. Although it has little effect on him, if it is left to Qinzhong, it will be almost enough for him to break into the fairyland. The same is true for the 10,000-year-old yin bone as the body of the sword. After some purification, combined with the appropriate pure yang spiritual materials, it is possible to refine a yin-yang Dao fairy weapon and pass it on to Lin Zhenying. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 531. Leave the treasure tree of the palace and come to the outside. With a thought in his heart, the treasure tree shrank again and submerged into the Tianlingding gate. Looking at the cave behind, Su Junming didn't destroy it. Don't do thankless things if you can't do them. The body transformed into spiritual light and traveled hundreds of miles in an instant, and soon arrived at the top of a low hill. Looking at the lush low mountain with lush vegetation below, one can clearly see through the bronze mirror that a bright yellow human emperor's aura rises into the sky from the depths of the low mountain. There may be a few places in the entire world that possess the aura of the human emperor, but the only one that possesses such pure aura is the Emperor Xuanyuan's mausoleum near Biang Mountain. Taking a look at the top of the mountain, there are temples reserved for ordinary people to worship. Su Junming did not go over. With a thought in his heart, he fell from the sky and disappeared underground in an instant. Using the earth escape technique, after going hundreds of feet deep, he came to an underground space covering an area of more than 10 acres, with simple stone pillars supporting the top and a rock-paved underground space. There are 12 stone statues in ancient clothes standing in the entire underground space, holding swords. The stone statue glared angrily, as if it was about to be beheaded at any moment. Even without a bronze mirror, Su Junming's immortal eyes could still see the crisscrossing restrictions in mid-air. It's really complicated, and it really deserves to be the immortal Forbidden City. In this underground palace alone, there are 4 immortal forbidden zones. And they can cooperate with each other to double their power. If you don't know what's going on and wander in blindly, even if the gods come here, you will be in trouble. This is just the outside. I really don't know what it's like inside. With a thought in his heart, a black hole appeared from scratch and gradually condensed out of mid-air. Su Junming turned into light and flew in, instantly crossing the vast underground space. He was here to get the treasure, and he didn't want to fight these complicated restrictions unless necessary. After crossing the underground space, passing through a tunnel 3 feet wide and 2 feet high, the way was blocked by a stone door 10 feet wide, 1 foot 8 feet, 1 foot 3 feet high, with a relief dragon pattern. There are also 4 restrictions on the stone gate, but they are much more difficult than the 4 restrictions just now. After examining it for a moment, a thought came to mind, and a green, simple stone door flew out from the top door. The divine inscriptions on the door panel on the left side of the stone gate suddenly lit up, and a strange blue light shot into the void. Visible to the naked eye, a black space channel condensed again. Su Junming put away the heavenly elephant gate and flew in. When he reappeared, the scenery in front of him had changed again. A passage, 1 foot wide and 8 feet high, although it can be called wide, but seems narrow here, appears in front of you. At first glance, the passage seemed to have no end, leading straight into the depths of darkness. Of course, this is just an illusion created by prohibition. After examining it for a moment, he found that there were still 4 restrictions here, but compared to the 8 he had already crossed outside, the ones here were more than 10 times more complicated. And it is no longer simply restricting the yin and yang and the 5 elements, but also restricting space. There's nothing we can do about it? Shaking his head and sighing, if his celestial elephant gate is the same as the creation spiritual pond, the Tiangong divine furnace, the void mirror and the emperor's tower, and is a top-notch innate spiritual weapon with 12 layers of innate spiritual restraints, even if the space is limited, he was also walking on flat ground under the magical power of the space of the celestial elephant gate. It is a pity that the celestial elephant divine sect is only half a low-grade innate spiritual treasure and the sunflower water spiritual ring is created. In addition, the Ksitagarbha divine sect and the human soul divine sect are divided into 2 innate spiritual taboos. Although not the worst, it is also the second to last. It will be difficult to cross the 4 prohibitions in front of me. Since you can't use tricks, you can only use stupid methods. He activated the bronze mirror, calmed down his distracting thoughts, and began to comprehend the immortal forbidden city in front of him. The forbidden method was born out of the formation method. Although it is not as powerful as the formation method, it is more powerful and easy to arrange. Su Junming is a master of formations and has long been promoted to the level of a heavenly immortal. He is also proficient in various types of formations such as Yaiwan, Lianji, Sankei, and Force Yangs. He is especially good at Force Yangs and Bagua. Coupled with the assistance of the bronze mirror, understanding the 4 prohibitions is not an insurmountable task. March, half a year passed quickly. Su Junming's treasure-like appearance is solemn, with blooming clouds 3 feet above his head. A huge 9-grade green lotus exudes a faint light. The Taoist fruit as big as a dove egg in the middle is full of spiritual light, full of auspiciousness, and is very magical. In an instant, the round Tao fruit shone with light, and a talisman shaped like a cauldron turned into a giant several feet, visible to the naked eye, becoming more real, more complex, and more obscure. The giant cauldron-shaped talisman flew down, and after Daokyo, Qinglian, and Qingyun re-entered Su Junming's body, his eyelids trembled and he slowly opened his eyes. Count with your fingers. It's been a year. Time flies so fast. There was excitement in his eyes. In 1 year, he gained a lot. Understanding the restrictions in front of him greatly increased his understanding of the Tao of fighting, and the Tao of Tiangong also improved a lot. Look at the tunnel in front of you. With a flick of his finger, a ray of spiritual light flew out. After reaching the mid-air, it exploded like a firework. In an instant, the tunnel that had been calm before became turbulent. As if layers of fog were peeled away, 49 bronze warriors, 3 feet tall, wearing ancient armor and holding giant crossbows, appeared in front of Su Junming. A huge golden crossbow, 1 foot long, pointed at a passage 2 feet wide and more than 20 feet long in the middle. Su Junming stretched out his hand, and a long black gold arrow 8 feet long and as thick as an adult's finger flew into his palm. Feeling the extremely rich innate Zhengjin aura on the Wujin arrow, I sighed in my heart. If someone breaks in forcefully, even the Lord of Heavenly Immortals will be shot into a hedgehog by the innate One Chi God Demon crossbow made of Yuan Yang fine gold. However, ancient times were really rich, no, luxurious. So many thousands of dollars were actually used. The refined copper is refined into a bronze statue, and this crossbow arrow is even more of an immortal material. After spending a year to break the restriction, there is no reason why things here should be left behind. And if he doesn't take it, the imperial mausoleum ban will collapse in a few decades, and the things here will be cheaper for others. A flash of spiritual light swept across, and 7 or 49 bronze statues flew into his sleeves. Looking at the empty hall, after making sure nothing was missing, he stepped forward. Go through a deep tunnel and come to a wide stone door. Hanging above the stone door is a square bronze mirror with a surface as smooth as a mirror. Staring at it, Su Junming's breathing suddenly became rapid, and uncontrollable excitement rose from the bottom of his heart. It is indeed an innate spiritual treasure. Before coming, he had guessed that the Haoshan Baojian might be an innate spiritual treasure. Because when he was looking at Shu Mountain, he clearly remembered that Chenfanchuo said to Yang Jian, the Haoshan treasure mirror has innate magical functions, and the Juyi Ding is the most precious treasure since its creation. Now everything has been confirmed. Haoshan Baojian is indeed a low-grade innate spiritual treasure that has completed the 12 spiritual prohibitions. He was happy, excited, and excited. Looking at the restrictions based on the Haoshan Baojian, Su Junming did not act rashly. The last 4 restrictions are in place. Taking a deep breath, Su Junming sat down cross-legged. He urged the bronze mirror to start enlightenment again. Fortunately, there is no one in charge of the Haoshan Baojian, otherwise he would never be able to get in if there was an innate spiritual treasure. Time passed slowly, and it took 3 years to penetrate the last 4 immortal forbidden realms with the help of the bronze mirror. Of course, his understanding of formations has taken a big step forward. However, it is limited to the way of alchemy and weapon refining, and the Tiangong talisman has not been advanced. However, the 3 paths are connected. If Su Junming takes the time to comprehend it, it will be easy to advance to the true immortal talisman. Opening his eyes, looking at the Haoshan treasure mirror, he quickly formed seals with his hands, and the auras intertwined, becoming increasingly bright. Wan Hua Ding Ji, Luo. After drinking, a ray of light flew into the treasure mirror. In an instant, the Haoshan treasure mirror shined brightly, its colors as brilliant as the scorching sun. Su Junming's expression suddenly changed. Not good. Say nothing. The Dharma realm of the universe. There are many space barriers in front of you. Then an extremely powerful sealing power enveloped the whole body. In an instant, it felt as if a billion-ton mountain was pressing down on him, making it difficult to move. Under the rich silver-white spiritual light, it seemed that there was no concept of time and space, and everything came to a standstill. Su Junming still had an expression of disbelief on his face. Gradually, a little light bloomed from the center of his eyebrows. The light became brighter and brighter, and a bronze stone door slowly squeezed out. As if countless years had passed, the stone gate finally appeared completely between the eyebrows, and in an instant the brilliance prevailed. After the bronze aura and the silver light stayed together for a while, the silver light gradually dimmed. When the pressure was gone, Su Junming fell to his knees, like a person who had been suffocated for a long time, greedily breathing in fresh air. Damn it, what bastard is so insidious that he actually hid a restriction in the Haoshan treasure mirror's spiritual taboo? He took a deep breath and exhaled it slowly. The fearful look on his face slowly faded away, and his mood finally calmed down a lot. If he hadn't seen the opportunity quickly and laid down several spatial barriers in an instant to block the Haoshan Baojian sealing aura and prevent it from completely sealing his soul, he would have been completely sealed in this tomb passage. Among them. Of course, he also blames himself. If he hadn't focused all his attention on the 4 restrictions and hadn't used a bronze mirror to check the internal restrictions of the Haoshan treasure mirror, he wouldn't have been tricked. It's really not careless at all. Although he knew that there might be no other restrictions, for the sake of insurance, Su Junming once again used the bronze mirror to carefully check the Haoshan Baojian several times before getting the treasure. On the other hand, looking at the beautiful cloud patterns behind me, I felt happy again. Although he was almost hit, the treasure fell into his hands after all. A treasure without an owner, Su Junming Yuanshen quickly put his own stamp on it. With a thought in his heart, the bronze-colored Ksatagarbha divine gate that had just freed him from the seal flew out again. With a casual wave of his hand, the Haoshan Baojian flew down to the center of the Shimin lintel with a string of silver flowers. Click, deeply embedded in the rock. As if it was meant to be here. Haoshan Baojian is also an innate spiritual treasure with a seal, and complements the Ksatagarbha divine sect, which also belongs to the seal path. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 532. If we want to truly integrate the two, we still need to put in a lot of effort. After thinking about it, he looked at the simple stone door that was 3 feet wide and 2 feet high in front of him. Su Junming took a deep breath, stepped forward, held his arms behind his back, and pushed inwards. The stone gate, weighing several thousand kilograms, may seem extremely heavy to others, but to him, who is proficient in body refining, it is not too heavy. Rumble. Accompanied by a dull friction sound, the main tomb chamber that had been sealed for tens of thousands of years appeared in front of people again. The first thing that comes into view is a 100-foot-long Shinto. On both sides of the Shinto, there are hundreds of warriors wearing armor and holding golden swords. They stand majestic, and even though they have been dead for tens of thousands of years, they are still the most powerful guards under Emperor Xianyuan Huang. At the end of the Shinto, there is a bronze table 3 feet high, 6 feet long and 1 foot wide. On the table are placed the tripod, gui, futon, beans, and other objects used for sacrifice. On both sides of the bronze case, there are 8 large bronze cauldrons 4 feet high, with 4 legs and 2 ears, and embossed dragon patterns. Su Junming took a deep look at the small tripod, which was only about 8 feet tall and embossed with various exotic animal patterns in the middle of the bronze case, and then looked past the bronze case and looked behind it. After passing the 9 stone steps, each of which is 1 foot high, there is an altar that is half an acre in size. On both sides of the altar are 2 bronze urns with a diameter of 2 feet and a height of 3 feet. 2 eternal lamps are lit in the urns, illuminating the main tomb chamber, which is more than 10 acres in size. In the center of the altar is a giant copper coffin that is 3 feet 9 feet long, 1 foot 6 feet wide and 1 foot 4 feet high. The copper coffins are embossed with various exquisite patterns, most of which tell stories about fishing, hunting, and farming. Finally, there is a picture of a majestic emperor, ascending to the sky with a dragon, and hundreds of officials worshipping him at his feet. Apparently, this is the coffin of Emperor Xianyuan Huang. Through the bronze mirror, it can be seen that there is no corpse in the coffin, just a set of simple clothes. However, the rich imperial dragon energy and merit energy above revealed something extraordinary. Obviously, this is a rare treasure. However, although Su Junming is greedy, he will not even take off other people's clothes. I wonder if this Emperor Xianyuan has any necessary connection with Emperor Xianyuan of the Chinese world. He shook his head and looked at the talisman that enveloped the entire main tomb chamber. The aura of the human emperor was so strong that it was as big as a wash basin. This is the Holy Tomb Divine Talisman that suppresses the entire imperial mausoleum, also known as the Xianyuan Spirit Talisman. It is the basis for suppressing the imperial mausoleum. It is a top imperial spiritual treasure that can be used in the hands of the emperor who practices the way of the human emperor. The power that came out was even stronger than the Haoshan treasure mirror he had just obtained. In the hands of ordinary monks, although its power is greatly reduced, it is still comparable to an immortal weapon. However, during the millennium of catastrophe among the immortals, the change of dynasties in the human world, and the turbulence of the human emperor's aura, this talisman failed, allowing the 3 corpses of the Wuhua clan to be brought up from the ground and steal the 2 treasures. With a finger, the Haoshan treasure mirror shed a silver glow. After covering the Xianyuan spirit talisman, the latter's brilliance solidified, slowly fell, and disappeared into the Kasadagarba divine gate. This thing can only show its power in the hands of that guy Ao Tian. He stepped on the Shinto path and came to the front. He swayed and grew to a height of 5 feet. He took out 3 thick incense sticks, lit them with his hands, and said a silent blessing in the distance. Emperor Xianyuan ascends again. Now Su Junming, a descendant of the Xianyuan family in China, has taken away the treasures left in the mausoleum. In the future, he will use these treasures to kill demons and eliminate demons, help the country, and achieve more merits. As a Taoist priest, blessing gods was a required course for him in mission. After bowing 3 times, he kneaded the earth into a furnace and inserted the incense sticks into it. After waiting for a while, nothing happened. It seems that Emperor Xianyuan has no time to talk to me. Step forward and look at the large cauldron on the bronze altar table, which is about 1 foot high, 6 feet wide and 4 feet wide, and is entirely golden. Lying on the lid of the tripod is a mythical beast with an ox's head and a snake's body, an elephant's trunk and a lion's tail, 6 legs and 4 wings. The belly of the tripod is also engraved with many rare and exotic animals, as well as images of mountains, winds, water, and fire, as well as many alchemy books and ancient seal scripts. It is extremely simple, with bright spiritual energy and gleaming brilliance. With the help of the bronze mirror light in the dantian penetrating the belly of the tripod, one can see a ball of chicken-sized beads inside, which are green on top and white on the bottom. After a while, you can see green light rising and white light falling. After a while, countless celestial phenomena like the sun, moon, stars, wind, rain, thunder, and lightning appeared in the upper part, and mountains, rivers, lakes and seas appeared in the lower part, as well as flying and submerged animals and plants. Innate chaos Yuan Fei. Su Junming's eyes were fiery. Most of the value of the Juyi cauldron lies in this innate chaotic Yuan embryo. Without it, the former would be just a good immortal weapon, far from being called an eternal treasure. Now, Chongshan world has another chance to expand significantly. Of course, Ikuan's innate chaotic Yuan Fei located in the Zhongqian world cannot create the Zhongqian world, but if it can double the area of Chongshan world, no, even double it, Su Junming will be very satisfied. Hold it with both hands. So heavy. Shen takes it for granted, after all, this is the innate chaotic Yuan Fei that can create the world. With a thought in his heart, the palace treasure tree flew out from above his head, and a large piece of spiritual light shone down, covering the Juyi cauldron, and then slowly fell into it. After acquiring the 2 most important treasures, Su Junming walked around the altar table and looked at the 8 bronze tripods on both sides. After pondering for a moment, he stepped up the steps and came to the top of the altar. In the stone urns on both sides, most of the urns contained ancient divine oil, emitting extremely rich innate Taishi Yumu spiritual energy. Wood makes fire, and all spiritual oils and sacred oils are the condensation of wood energy, and they are the condensation of Yumu spiritual energy in wood energy. Compared with the rigidity of Jiamu's spiritual energy, Yumu's spiritual energy is yin in nature, soft and full of toughness, which is the most suitable existence for refining lamp oil. The volume of this vat of spiritual oil is almost 100 times that of the palace treasure tree. The treasure tree in the palace is a giant tree reaching nearly 20,000 feet, which shows how rich the spiritual energy of Yumu is. Above the spiritual oil, there is a 3-inch high spiritual fire, shaped like a Ganoderma lucidum and golden red in color. Qiantian spiritual fire. Qiantian spiritual fire is a kind of fairy fire, powerful enough to burn mountains and boil seas. Oil is extraordinary, fire is super powerful, and the stone urn that holds them is also extraordinary. The azure stone of Zhengbajing is a treasure with both metal and earth attributes, a kind of fairy material. Using such a good treasure for lighting, I am afraid that except for the ancient Emperor Xianyuan, no one in this world has such luxury. As Su Junming waved his hand, the oil jar flew into his sleeve, and at the same time a little light flew out of it, landing on the ground and turning into a 3-foot-tall bronze crane with a long roer. There is a lotus pedestal on the top and back of the bronze crane. 2 luminous pearls, large and small, are inlaid in the lotus pedestal. The clear light illuminated the entire underground palace. Repeating his old trick and putting away the other oil jar, Su Junming nodded with satisfaction. As early as when he came to Xianyuan Holy Tomb, he had been cultivating these 2 crane lanterns in order to exchange the 2 cylinders of sacred oil and lamplight. Of course, it would be a blasphemy to the Emperor Xianyuan. His 2 crane lanterns are not bad either. They are both spiritual treasures of the 3 spiritual bands. As long as there is spiritual energy in this world, this crane lamp will not go out. In addition, he is also a shameless person. He has received so many benefits from others, and he is also prepared to pay for them. Otherwise, wouldn't it be very embarrassing to see Holy Emperor Xianyuan himself that day? With a move of his hand, the 8 cauldrons surrounding the altar flew up instantly. According to the 8 directions of Qinkan, Sunzan, and Kanlagendui, Su Junming was surrounded in the middle. He quickly formed seals with his hands, and countless eclipse cultures became auras, flying into the 8 great cauldrons. Visible to the naked eye, the forbidden spiritual light on these 8 giant bronze cauldrons began to appear from scratch and gradually became dazzling. It's still a little bit worse. There was a look of pain on his face, and as he waved, a piece of gold and iron the size of a sea bowl, shining with colorful auras, appeared in his palm. This is Yuan Yang fine gold, a low-grade immortal material. When the world of Chongshan was successfully opened, in addition to 3 innate spiritual treasures, many fairy materials were also born. As the Lord of the world, Ao Tian naturally collected all the fairy materials into his own hands immediately. This piece is one of them. The curved fingers formed a sword, and the sharp sword energy cut the Yuan Yang fine gold into 8 parts. The yin and yang fish pattern appears on both palms. After closing inward, all the Yuan Yang fine gold is instantly ground into pure innate Taishi Gen gold spiritual energy. Go. Drink in your mouth. The 8 pieces of spiritual energy were integrated into the 8 bronze tripods. After receiving this powerful tonic, the 8 bronze tripods buzzed and the golden light prevailed. After adding hundreds of spiritual materials, the shape of the 8 cauldrons could no longer be seen. Under the strong golden light, they looked like 8 golden suns. Su Junming waved his sleeves, activated the void divine movement, and soared into the sky with the cauldron. It was done. The moment the 8 great cauldrons came to the top of Xianyuan Mausoleum, there was a click and a thunderous explosion. Storms are raging within a radius of 3,000 miles. The mighty thunder, like a rolling ocean tide, filled the entire sky in an instant. Su Junming keenly discovered that the scale of the immortal weapon tribulation was much smaller than he expected. The reason for the human emperor's merits. These 8 great cauldrons have been worshipped in Xianyuan Mausoleum for tens of thousands of years, suppressing the imperial mausoleum, and have gathered a lot of merit. Now, using the 8 great cauldrons as a guide, he has developed a complete set of immortal weapons. Boom! 8 thunderbolts struck down. The mighty thunder stretched for thousands of miles. Thunder, lightning, and fire were astonishing. All the Buddhas, demons, and demons within thousands of miles around were alarmed. However, this thunder light was so dazzling that the demon was afraid of it and did not dare to approach it at all. Gendao was also afraid of being implicated and also did not dare to go there. Father, look at this thunder, it should be in the direction of Xianyuan Mausoleum. Wrong done, who was several feet tall and filled with corpse-like aura, examined it for a moment and said. Next to him, Wu Hua, who was wearing an ancient costume, carrying a golden sword, and a beard, nodded. Looking at the extent of the thunderstorm, the power of the immortal artifact must be extraordinary. Fellow Taoist Kyanki, your divine eyes can penetrate thousands of miles. I wonder if you can see clearly what kind of spiritual treasure is born. Next to him, there were white bones with leopard skin around his waist, and a faint light was shining in his eyes. After concentrating for a moment, it's the 8 great cauldrons. Wuhuashi and Rongdun, father and son, looked at each other, with strong greed on their faces, and said in unison. Juyi Ding. They only knew that the ancient treasure Juyi cauldron was in Xianyuan Mausoleum, but they didn't know what it looked like specifically. Kyanki's eyes were also shining brightly. Who wouldn't want the ancient treasure Juyi Ding? Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 533. Chapter 524, No Fahrenheit. Since the Juyi cauldron is here, the ancient treasure Haoshan treasure mirror must also be among them, Wu Hua said. Rong Dun nodded vigorously, with a look of greed on his face. Father, fellow Taoist Kyanki, looking at the current scene, these two treasures are likely to be born. With such a huge momentum now, I don't know how many Buddhas, demons within a radius of thousands of miles will be attracted. Wait for the thunder to fade away. In the end, there will inevitably be a fierce battle. The three of you and I join forces, although no one is afraid of us in the fight. But if we fight for it, we will inevitably lose the treasure. Why not take advantage of the opportunity when everyone is afraid of thunder and do not dare to step forward, and you and I will use the earth escape technique first, sneak into Xianyuan mausoleum and take the Haoshan treasure mirror. With this treasure in my hand, even if I can't take away the Juyi cauldron, I won't gain nothing. What Taoist fellow Taoist Rong Dun said deeply touched my heart, Kyanki said immediately. They are all zombies and are born with the magical power of earth escape. They can come and go freely even in the vast underground. Wu Hua felt that there were many dangers in Emperor Xuanyuan's mausoleum, and he almost fell into it several times by taking risks and sneaking in. Although it seemed like he had a chance now, his past experiences still made him wary. But his son and Kyanki had already made up their minds, and he was reluctant to part with the treasure of the Haoshan mirror. He hesitated for a moment before agreeing. The three demon corpses flashed with light and instantly sank into the ground. They followed the path they had traced before and fled straight towards the Xianyuan mausoleum. Seeing the storm of wind, fire, and thunder getting stronger and stronger in mid-air, Su Junming, who stood with his hands behind his back, looked very calm. With his current level of weapon refining and the array celestial beings trained at the array realm, it would be a joke if he couldn't survive the thunder tribulation. Boom! In an instant, thunder and fire burst out. The extremely dark night sky before dawn was instantly illuminated. The vast thunder fell from the sky like a giant sword in the hand of a god. The tyrannical flames burned half of the sky, and the extremely sharp golden sword of the wind struck down like lightning. Press the 8 diagrams inside the 8 giant cauldrons, and they will instantly turn into 8 extremely magnificent bronze doors. Although this lightning bolt from the back left shook the 8 bronze doors, it was not damaged at all. As the thunder passed, 8 rays of good fortune were injected into the cauldron, and at the same time Su Junming shot out seals one after another. In just a moment, the 3 immortal forbidden rules were condensed and formed. That's pretty much it. With a wave of his hand, there was a flash of spiritual light, and the 8 giant bronze doors turned into giant cauldrons again, disappearing into the space passage along with Su Junming. Returning to the underground palace, my mind moved, and a hint of ridicule appeared in the corner of my mouth. With a wave of his right hand, the 8 giant tripods were placed in the 8 directions of Kinkan, Sunzan, Kanlagendui. In an instant, in the void behind him, 2 golden swords and a green flame struck at the back of his head like lightning. Dang dang! Along with the sound of gold and iron, a black stone door with relief gourd vines appeared on the spot. The hardness of Shimin was unexpected. Jinji, who was full of sharp gold energy, only fired a few sparks, and the ray of jade fire was directly absorbed by Shimin. Su Junming stood on the human soul divine gate and looked at Wu Huaxi, Rong Dun, and Kyung-chi, who looked wary. I didn't go looking for you, but you came to the door on your own first. That's good, it saved me a lot of effort. Run away. Wu Hua's people are mature, and they have long recognized that this Taoist has extraordinary strength. In fact, if Rong Dun and Kyung-chi hadn't insisted, he wouldn't have made a sneak attack. At this time, Rong Dun and Kyung-chi also realized that something was wrong, their greed was gone, and they turned around and ran away. The three of them were separated in three directions, and each one could escape. Escape? Haha, it's too late. A flash of inspiration flashed through the stone gate, and a large black clock condensed out. Boom, the bell-like sound of a yellow bell is like a stormy sea, flying in all directions like lightning. Wu Hua and Rong Dun were shocked by the electric shock. After shaking for a few times, they turned over and fell down. Qianqi was a little beyond Su Junming's expectation. A black talisman flew out from his heavenly spirit, blocking the sound of his soul-destroying bell. He raised his eyebrows. It does have some background. He stretched out his hand and patted it. The human soul divine gate was retracted, and a bronze divine gate with a Haoshan treasure book hanging on it appeared. Today I'll give it a try. Disease. Haoshan Beijian flew up with a silver-white brilliance, like a bright moon, spanning thousands of feet in an instant, covering Qianqi, who was escaping quickly. In an instant, the latter froze, as if it were a sculpture that had lost the breath of life. Come back. Wu Huaxi and Rong Dun were two zombies who were at the peak of their souls. Qianqi, the corpse monster, had a cultivation level that was almost the same as those of them. The Ksitigarba divine gate slowly opened, and the three of them flew in. See this scene. 3 new generals have been added to the slave labor team of the Emperor's Tower. After putting away the Sankei Shenman with satisfaction, he continued his unfinished business. One seal after another flew into the 8 giant cauldrons. The Bagua sky-covering formation. Get up. Buzz, accompanied by the bright 8-color aura, an extremely powerful formation enveloped the entire mausoleum. Using 8 low-grade immortal weapons as the formation was no worse than the previous 16 restrictions. Unless a true immortal takes action and wastes a lot of effort, there is no way to break this Bagua sky-covering formation. I'll give you 2 treasures, and I'll give you back a large array of 8 immortal cauldrons to suppress. Human Emperor Xian Yuan, I've almost repaid you for my karma. After bending down and bowing to the coffin in the middle, he took a step forward and urged the Huashan god to perform his magic and leave the underground palace in an instant. I was just about to clean out Wu Hua's, Rong Dun's, and Qianqi's lairs to make sure they didn't miss any treasures, when my heart moved and I stopped. He turned his head and looked at the old nun in grey monk's clothes sitting cross-legged on a boulder in the distance, frowning slightly. Master Tai seems to be here specially to wait for Pandeo. Amitba, the 2 treasures of Xian Yuan are related to the catastrophe of the immortals. I hope that the donor can put them back into Emperor Xuanyuan's mausoleum for the sake of all the people in the world. The second Xian Yuan treasure? I have never seen the second Xian Yuan treasure, so why should I return it? The old nun in green frowned. Fellow Taoist is also a first-class immortal, the best in the world. If you talk nonsense, wouldn't you lose your status? Su Junming smiled lightly. I never tell lies. Fellow Taoist, are you serious about not paying it back? The old nun's brows furrowed. No. Lao Ni sighed. That's the case, Lao Ni is offended. With a wave of his hand, the wind and clouds surged in an instant, and a huge palm of Buddha's light, which was extremely clear and hundreds of feet tall, shot towards Su Junming from the air. Su Junming waved his hand casually. The magic power of Danshan was activated, and the same extremely clear giant fist of 100 feet and 5 colors faced the opponent. Boom! The fists and palms collided, and the tyrannical energy instantly burst the air. In an instant, the clouds and electricity rolled, and there were bursts of thunder. The momentum shook the void. Feeling the powerful countershock coming from his fist, the old man frowned slightly. After increasing the mana, the giant palm of Buddha's light doubled in size. Seeing this, Su Junming smiled faintly, punched forward with his right fist, the light surged, and the same giant fist of 200 feet was struck forward. Boom! This time the vibration was even greater. The astonishing sound of the explosion shook thousands of miles. 300 feet, 500 feet, the two of them used their strength. After a dozen moves, the fist in mid-air had turned into a giant of thousands of feet. Every blow from the huge fist was like thunder from the sky. Compared to the previous immortal weapon Thunder Tribulation, the movement was no worse at all. The monks who were originally attracted by the immortal weapon Tribulation were attracted by this amazing competition. That heavenly Lord Wu Yang, isn't that the god Nefentuo from Longxiang Temple on the edge of the river? God Nefentuo? Isn't it rumored that she has achieved the realm of Arhat and ascended to the immortal palace 100 years ago? Impossible. Who else in the world can cultivate the dragon elephant divine palm to such a level except God Nefentat? Everyone looked at the illusion of a dragon and tiger manifesting in mid-air with bright golden light, which was the manifestation of the unique skill dragon elephant subduing demon god's palm passed down by the direct descendant of Longxiang Temple, and the manifestation of its cultivation to the state of transformation. That Taoist can compete with Shen Nefentuo's dragon elephant divine palm without falling behind. It's really amazing. I didn't expect that we have such a powerful Taoist in the world of Biang Mountain. Could it be Taoist Biang? Bullshit. 300 years ago, Taoist Bai Yang ascended to the immortal palace. It was a grand event in the spiritual world, and there were countless people watching. How could he be Taoist Bai Yang? Then who is this person? Maybe he is a Taoist senior who has not yet been born. It is really admirable to see that he can fight with the god Nefentuo without losing. I just don't know what his name is. Which sect does it come from? Everyone watching the battle was talking a lot, and Su Junming raised his eyebrows slightly. It turns out that this old nun is the god Nefentat. Anyone who has read the legend of Shushan's swordsman knows that there are many powerful Buddhists in Shushan, and Shenefentuo is the greatest Buddhist virtue after Zunchen, Tianmeng, and Zhigong. The Dharma is bottomless, and the status is respected. My cultivation level is already at the late stage of Arhat realm. No wonder I am so powerful. The first realm of Taoism and immortality is called heavenly immortal. The first realm of Buddhism is called Arhat. Before Su Junming's magic power was sealed, he was almost different from the current god Nefentuo. However, when it comes to the understanding of laws, it is better than Shenefentuo, especially this five elements fist, which is an immortal method that was understood by the Dragon Emperor after he became an immortal. The power is powerful, and combined with his physical martial arts, the ferocity and domineering are increased several times. Even though Fentuo Dragon Elephant Palm is powerful, Su Junming has no fear in his heart. Looking at the Taoist opposite with the earth-shattering golden light of energy and blood, Xenophonta was secretly shocked. This person actually entered Taoism through martial arts and practiced both martial arts and Taoism. No wonder his cultivation level is only at the first level of heavenly immortal, but his strength is so strong. The fighting power of martial arts monks ranks first among all the paths, even better than the path of killing. Although my cultivation level is higher than his, I am afraid that I may not be able to suppress this person with the dragon elephant palm. After thinking about the joints, Fentuo's heart moved, and a ray of Buddha's light rushed out of his dantian. In an instant, it turned into a giant wheel of Buddha's light that was thousands of feet tall, and hit Su Junming like a falling mountain. Bow bow. I'm not afraid anymore. As soon as his heart moved, a ray of purple light rose into the sky. In an instant, a huge blue drum wrapped in thunder appeared in mid-air. Boom. It exploded for thousands of miles. Thunderbolts hundreds of feet thick, like an erupting volcano, hit the golden wheel. Like the crashing waves on the shore, accompanied by dazzling golden and purple auras, thunder, lightning, and Buddha's light fell all over the sky like rain. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 534. Chapter 525, God Nefentat. Fentuo's white eyebrows trembled slightly, and he was secretly frightened as he looked at the giant blue drum wrapped in thunder and lightning in the air. What a powerful Thunder Deo spiritual treasure! The Lotus Vajra will is her natal magical weapon, and its power is naturally extraordinary. Compared with it, the Thunder Deo spiritual treasure is not only no worse at all, but even better by a few points. Moreover, Lei Deo Ling Bao is recognized to be powerful. If her magic power was not stronger than the other parties, she would have lost the Tao magic competition just now. Taking a deep breath, she realized that these were not the only abilities she had practiced so far. 1, 2, or 8 golden dragons condensed around them. 8 heavenly dragons. Fenchuo thought silently in his heart. The giant dragon roared like thunder and flew towards Su Junming. At the same time, the Lotus Vajra will fell down like lightning. Su Junming saw it in his eyes and silently urged him in his heart. 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs of arms condensed from behind. 4 pairs of arms form seals at the same time. In an instant, countless seals were formed. The 4 elephants of the Earth Emperor's way. The flame aura from all directions seemed to be summoned, whizzing in and condensing like lightning into 8 huge flame-burning seals. This Earth Emperor seal technique that he obtained from Kunlun ruins in the Chinese world has 6 styles in total. Huanyuan seal, God and Demon seal, 4 elephant seal, Huanquan seal, Golden Light seal and Earth Emperor seal. The Huanyuan seal is the simplest, followed by the God and Demon seal. Now that he has advanced to the immortal way, he can finally use the set of seals freely. The 1,000-foot-long seal, carrying endless flames, crashed down like a meteor. The big seal crosses the sky. The golden dragon roared. The fierce fighting between the two sides caused the spiritual energy within 1,000 miles radius to surge as vast as boiling water. Fenchuo frowned and the seals in his palms changed. Celestial dragons and sing. The 8 golden dragons suddenly changed and opened their huge mouths. Roar. In an instant, it was as if the golden pot exploded, the sky collapsed and the earth collapsed, and the surging sound waves hit Su Junming like a tidal wave. Su Junming stimulated the Sirius essence and blood in his heart. The phantom of a gigantic green wolf appeared behind him. Sirius Xiao Yu. Ouch! The desolate wolf howl penetrates the clouds, cracks the rocks, and penetrates into the sky. The heavenly wolf is an ancient divine beast. Su Junming collected the essence and blood from Prince Silver Wolf in the Liuzai world and practiced one of the 36 transformations. Although it is rarely used, its power is not weak at all. As soon as the sound waves from both sides collided, the scattered aftermath swept thousands of miles. Everyone watching covered their ears with pain on their faces. This man is so strong, he can actually fight with the god Nefenchuo for a whole day without losing. An old Taoist wearing a purple Taoist robe, holding Fukan in his hand, looked at the valley in the distance and said, "Senior brother Zhong is knowledgeable, but you don't recognize this person." Master Tianke, who was dressed in white robes, asked. Mr. Zhong, who is known as the Hidden Sword Immortal in the spiritual world, shook his head. The world of cultivation is vast, and there are many capable people. There are countless powerful people in the 4 extremes and 8 wastelands. How can I know them all? The 1,000-year period of catastrophe for the immortals has arrived. Great talents will emerge in large numbers, and the world of cultivation will be troubled. Master Tianke sighed. While he was talking, in the valley in the distance, a statue with 2 heads and 4 arms, each holding a powerful pestle, a treasure bottle, a seal, and a conch. The vision of a diamond with rich Buddha light expanded rapidly, and in the blink of an eye it was thousands of feet tall. The 2 of them looked at it and exclaimed at the same time. Prajna Vajra Dharmakaya. Shen Nefenchuo practiced the Buddhist Vajra and heavenly dragon Zen methods intensively, and his cultivation was earth-shattering. Back then, while sitting on the edge of the river, he shocked and killed the old god and demon Bai Wuxiang, as well as dozens of people from the Tianese demon section. His power was endless. After a long time, after 200 years, I finally saw this Buddhist practice. Mr. Zhong sighed. Before he finished speaking, another majestic figure rushed up from the valley. This is a giant god with 2 heads, black and white, and hundreds of arms growing out of his back. While the two were shocked, they looked at the earth-shattering aura of the god and demon. After a long time, Master Tianke sighed, God Nefentuo really met his opponent this time. Mr. Zhou nodded in agreement. Su Junming sat cross-legged and meditated. Behind him, the aura of gods and demons 1,000 feet high reaches into the sky. This divine magic body was a self-created method based on the yin and yang Tao and assisted by bronze mirrors after he understood the supernatural power of the netherworld white bone flag, the white bone god and demon. This is the first time I've used it. Looking at the yin and yang energy soaring into the sky and the mighty gods and demons of thousands of feet, Fenchuo was also a little shocked. In the past 300 years, with the help of this Prajnavajra body, except for the ascended master Beimei, Taoist Hesha, and a few people in Buddhism, he has never encountered an opponent. Today, the green-robed Taoist who suddenly appeared suddenly showed such powerful methods that she had never seen before. Although she still had unused means, her confidence was losing little by little. Take a deep breath and think calmly. Xianyuan Urbeo was of great importance, and no matter what, she would not give up easily. Prajna conquers demons. With a wave of the powerful pestle in his hand, the powerful pestle struck Su Junming overwhelmingly. Ha, good time. Dao fist. Behind the divine magic body, thousands of hands were clenched into fists, and with a vigorous wave, it was like thousands of falling meteors, with a heavy and sharp sound of breaking wind, colliding with the divine pestle. In an instant, the trees burst into flames, and the clear sky exploded. The mighty sky wind blows for 3,000 miles. The astonishing divine power shocked many good and evil monks who were watching the battle. This battle lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Except for a few innate spiritual treasures, the 4-elephant sword formation, and the Tao of creation, Su Junming had used all his means. Finally, he used the soul falling bell and the sword technique to cut off the left sleeve of Xenophanta. After quickly using magic power to cover his exposed left arm, Fenchuo lowered his eyebrows and whispered the Buddha's name. Although she was not seriously injured, she lost the fight. Amitabha, do you dare to give the Taoist title? I am the true Lord Chongshan. The skills of a poor nun are inferior to others, so I won't stop the Taoist master anymore. However, the 2 treasures of Xianyuan are very important, so I hope the Taoist master will use them with caution. After saying that, without waiting for Su Junming to reply, his figure flashed and disappeared in an instant. This old nun is so timid. He shook his head and had no time to pay attention to the people watching the battle around him. He disappeared in a flash. After going to the cave where there were no 3 corpses of Hua clan, we returned to Chongshan residence. The black dog came up to him. Master, where did this ugly bird come from? Upon hearing this, the ancient god dove, who was imprisoned by Su Junming, instantly opened his half-open yellow pupils and looked fiercely at the black dog. His body was covered in 5-color clouds and smoke, and his steel claws were black and shiny. If he hadn't been imprisoned, he would have fought the black dog to the death. The black dog was also frightened by its ferocious aura. The dog's hair exploded all over its body, its muscles stretched, its mouth was full of steel teeth, and the dog's face became fierce. It is also the underworld dog that guards the 9 netherworld, a famous mythical beast. But before it could show off its power, Su Junming slapped the black dog so hard that it turned somersaults. What are you talking about? Send these guys to the White Tiger Palace. With a wave of his hand, 20 or 30 people and monsters flew out of his sleeves. Excluding Wuhuashi, Rongdun, and Kyanki, the rest were all caught by Su Junming when he ransacked his house. The black dog got up and was beaten many times, but didn't feel anything. He walked around the crowd and looked at the crowd that looked like wooden piles. Master, what a great harvest this time, There are actually 3 zombies with perfect souls. There will be immortals in the future, go quickly. Got it? The black dog opened his mouth and spat out, and a wave of ghostly magic swept up everyone and flew towards the white tiger palace below. He grabbed the ancient divine dove and came to the Tiangong palace, and threw it away. The latter flew into the lotus furnace and sank into the Tiangong divine furnace, and was instantly surrounded by innate cold fire. The cold flames, under the control of Su Junming, refined the power of the immortal Viola in the ancient divine dove's body, and also refined the evil spirit that remained in the body after years of devouring the ghost's soul. This ancient divine dove has the blood of the ancient giant demon Nine Phoenix in its body, and it is relatively pure, so its qualifications and endowments are no worse than Su Huang, who is the lord of the Phoenix. By refining this immortal pansy, the ancient divine dove's bloodline will become purer, and it won't take long for him to become an immortal. He left a clone behind, controlled the cold fire, and after cultivating the ancient divine dove, he waved it casually. In front of him were 2 golden jewels, a large black clay pot, 4 ancient oil cauldrons, a large gourd as tall as 2 people, and a pile of ancient weapons. And a bone lamp burning with green flames. These are all things he collected from Wu Huaxi, Rongdun, and Qiang Qi and from the cave. The 2 golden swords are 6 feet long, as thick as an adult's wrist, and are entirely made of yuan yang fine gold. It was originally the weapon of Wu Hua and Rongdun, but they did not know how to refine weapons, so these 2 golden weapons were only spiritual treasures, not immortal weapons. The large clay pot is 1 foot tall and 7 feet in diameter. It is black in color and rough in workmanship, but it is made of rare black abyss spiritual mud. Black abyss spiritual mud is a spiritual object transformed from the turbid air of the earth, and it is the most capable of isolating mana and spiritual consciousness. Although the black abyss spiritual mud that was used to create this pottery pot was only at the level of insight, it could seal any monk below the level of a heavenly being. In Shu Mountain, Yang Jin was sealed in this clay pot by the 3 demons of Wuhua clan. If Ling Yunfan hadn't accidentally rescued her, she would have been sealed in it forever by herself. The 4 ancient oil cauldrons were used for lighting in the underground palace of the 3 demons of Wuhua clan. Although they are not as good as the divine oil fairy material of the ancient oil cauldrons in the Xianyuanrenhuang mausoleum, they are still extremely rare. The 2 big gourds contain 2 gourds of spiritual springs, treasures that Wu Hua and Rongdun had stolen from Zhang Lingzi. There are 5 spiritual springs on the banks of the Conque River. When Yimei opened his mansion, in order to build relations, he gave a mouthful as a gift. A bunch of ancient weapons were buried with the 3 demons of Wu Fahrenheit. Although they were not legal weapons, they were all forged with the essence of metal, and thanks to the sufficient spiritual energy in this world, they did not fall down in grade. Coupled with the large quantity, if refined, at least a few spiritual treasures can be produced. But the most precious thing is the last bone lamp. This is Qianqi's natal spiritual treasure. The lamp holder is forged from his own bones, and the most valuable thing is the light. It is an innate yin fire born in the earth. It is precisely because of the tyranny of this innate yin fire that it can fight against Wu Hua's father and son 1 against 2. After a brief consideration, the 2 golden swords, together with the 49 ones obtained from Emperor Xuanyuan's mausoleum, and the innate 1 Qi God demon crossbow also forged with yuan yang fine gold, flew into the 1 yuan weapon refining lotus furnace. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Become a disciple of Taoist priest for us. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 535. The bone lamp occupies the Lianji furnace. 49 statues of 10,000 refined copper occupied the Sankei furnace. Many ancient weapons and 4 ancient oil cauldrons occupy the Sixiang furnace. A large pottery pot made of black abyss spiritual mud occupied the 5 elements furnace. The 2 large oil cauldrons obtained from Emperor Xuanyuan's mausoleum used Liuhe furnaces. 6 lotus furnaces fell into the Tiangong divine furnace, each wrapped in different flames. The Iwan furnace and the Sankei furnace require fierce fire, and naturally the 9 and 8 red fires at the top are the most suitable. For Lianji furnace, Sixiang furnace, and Liuhe furnace, the 9 and 8 cold fires in the middle are most suitable. Even the easily flammable oil of the ages will not ignite. The 5 elements stove uses the innate purple fire at the end. The purple fire is mild in nature and good at warming and nourishing. The black abyss spiritual mud is made into a clay pot, which only needs to be refined. Purple fire is the most suitable. After dividing 6 clones, each one was responsible for a lotus furnace, they stopped taking care of it. 3 months later, Su Junming raised his hand and pointed, and the ancient divine dove rose up in the 7-star furnace. It was originally 9 feet long, but it shrunk by twice, becoming about 3 feet long. There is no evil spirit in the body, and the blood is more condensed. A ball of purple flame rises from the top of the head, like a flying feather crest. The black feathers are extremely pure. A pair of dark purple iron claws and beak are shining with cold light. At a glance, you can tell that they are sharp and powerful. Hard. The neck became more slender, and a long purple phoenix tail replaced the previous short and ugly black tail feathers. After 3 months of refining in the Tiangong divine furnace, this ancient divine dove became much more beautiful than before. I didn't expect you to be a female. Shaking his head, he activated the Huishan spirit talisman, and a black space channel appeared from scratch a foot away in front of him. A clone walked out of Su Junming's body and walked in with the ancient divine dove and a big gourd next to it. When he reappeared, the world had changed before his eyes. This is a cave about 100 miles in size. It is surrounded by mountains on all sides, and there are many sycamore trees with strong spiritual energy planted on them. In the middle is a valley with red flowers and green willows, and grass growing and warblers flying. In the center of the valley is a lake. To the east of the lake, a purple bamboo forest hides a 2-story bamboo building. The moment Su Junming appeared, a silvery white spiritual light flew from the bamboo building, and instantly came to his eyes, landing on the ground and transforming into a beautiful woman wearing a silvery white dress, with a noble and cold temperament. Su Huang pays homage to his mentor. Su Junming smiled and nodded, raised his hand, and brought with him, a large black gourd as tall as a person flew into the air, with a blue star protruding from the middle. After falling to the top of the mountain on the east side, it turned into a spring several acres in size. The higher the drum gets, the faster it flows down the cliff. In an instant, a line of the Milky Way fell. With a boom, the rocks collapsed and thousands of silver flowers flew up. Under the sunlight, 7 colors appear. After accumulating enough water, the spring water continues to extend forward along the low-lying areas. Soon a small river flowing into the lake gradually took shape. The embellishments of mountain springs, waterfalls, and rivers add countless vitality to this cave. Feeling the water spiritual energy in his cave that had increased several times, Su Huang said in surprise, "Master, is this a spiritual spring?" "I got it by chance after killing a few evil spirits in Biang Mountain." Su Junming nodded. With a wave of his right hand, the ancient divine dove that was still sleeping behind him flew to the front. "Among the many disciples under my sect, you are the only one who doesn't have any cave protecting spiritual beasts. This ancient divine dove has the blood of the 9 phoenixes, and by chance, you succumb to an immortal pansy. Your bloodline is several times pure, and your qualifications are even more remarkable. If you cultivate it properly, the future is promising, so I leave it to you." Su Huang took a look. Since the bloodline of this ancient divine dove is so extraordinary, why doesn't Master stay with me? I have enough trouble with Kuei Niu and Hei Feng, but I don't want another one. Besides, this ancient divine dove belongs to yin or not yang, so it's best to follow you. Su Huang nodded. Forming seals with both hands, a stream of spiritual light flew into the body of the ancient divine dove, setting up a spiritual barrier to control the beast. With a flick of his fingers, the sleeping ancient divine dove woke up. After the evil spirit was eliminated from the body, the descendant of this ancient divine bird was no longer as vicious as before. However, after noticing the changes in his body and seeing master and disciple Su Junming, his expressions were full of vigilance. Su Huang commanded the beast-controlling spirit, and at the same time, a huge phoenix shadow appeared behind him. I am Su Huang, the fifth disciple of the Chongshan section. I will accept you as my sex guardian beast today. Are you willing? The ancient divine dove felt the pressure coming from the prohibition within its soul, and it knew very well the consequences of not agreeing. Are you a phoenix? A feminine voice came from the body of the ancient god dove. I am the body of an ice phoenix. Julie is willing to serve under Huang Nu's sect. Seeing this scene, Su Junming showed a clear smile on his face. Phoenix has been the king of birds since ancient times, so it is naturally easier to conquer the ancient divine dove than it is for him. This cave is my dojo, you can find a place to stay. After saying that, Su Huang easily removed the restrictions on the ancient divine dove. Julie nodded, spread his wings, and flew into the valley. After Su Junming took a look, he looked away. Have you ever found the 10,000 years ice silkworm? I found it, but on the way I met a monk who called himself Bacon Taoist Gong Yehuang. This man was obsessed with evil spirits and his body was stiff. He needed to be rescued by Bing Silkworm. The disciple saw that he was not an evil demon and that he had the aura of merit and virtue, so he took Bing Silkworm away. I lent it to him and agreed to return it in 7 years, Su Huang said. Bacon Taoist Gong Yehuang. Anyone who has seen Shushan is familiar with this. The senior brother who challenged Lao Buddha and Ant Lei, a powerful person with the cultivation of immortals. You did a good job on this matter. It's good if Master doesn't blame me. Haha, it's not a bad thing. How could I blame you? Moreover, when walking in the spiritual world, it is also the right thing to help others. After a pause, are you still in Kangmang Mountain? Su Huang nodded and said, I just killed a few evildoers a few days ago. For her now, the most urgent thing is to accumulate merit and unblock her cultivation. After Su Junming thought for a moment, he opened his left palm, and a palm-sized blue and white porcelain vase flew towards Su Huang. There are 12 drops of the spiritual water of creation in it. Take it. After your cultivation is completely unsealed, go to Qingluo Valley in the northwest Tianshan Mountains to look for a woman named Zhengbaguo. This woman has excellent aptitudes and a resolute temperament. She is the best seed for cultivation. Now she has become possessed and is sitting frozen in an ice valley. You can use the spirit water of creation to repair her body and take her under your wing. The 4 major female disciples of the Yimei sect are Zhengbaguo, Qin Ziling, Yijing, and Ligu. One of the latter 2 is a disciple of Master Yijin, and the other is a disciple of Master Longslayer. Both are disciples of Yimei. Of course, Su Junming still doesn't know whether the 2 of them have been reincarnated. After the chaos of Tianji, he couldn't deduce the future of this world. However, even if he is reborn, judging from the situation where all 3 of Yi Zhou's grandchildren from Suangi Palace have devoted themselves to Yimei, Yijing will probably not be allowed to join his Chongshan lineage. In comparison, Zhengbaguo and Qin Ziling had better plans. In this way, the disciples of the sect can inherit the section if there is a chance. Of course they must take it from Yimei to strengthen the destiny of his Chongshan lineage. After taking the blue and white porcelain vase, Su Huang nodded. Disciple, obey. With a wave of his hand, a black clay pot flew like Su Huang. This is the spirit sealing jar I have made recently. It is a top-grade spiritual treasure. If she becomes a disciple, I will give it to her. If she can pass the test of the human soul god sect, you can give it to her as a direct disciple's treasure. Yes. That's all I have to say, Let's go. Farewell to my mentor. He nodded slightly. By the way, when you encounter evil spirits in the future, you won't kill them if you can. If you catch them, they will be sent to your fourth master uncle. He wants them. The figure flashed and disappeared into the space channel. On the broad official road outside Chang'an City, a Taoist riding a green bull came. This man was tall, with a green gourd hanging on his waist, a green bamboo staff in his arms, and riding on a green bull. His eyes were slightly closed, and his upper body swayed slightly as the green bull walked, as if it was about to fall off at any moment. But every time when everyone thought the Taoist was about to fall, they would shake a little and sit up straight again. It really made many people around who were gloating and wanting to watch the fun feel extremely regretful. Su Junming took advantage of boredom to study the Great Road, and suddenly his heart moved. He opened his eyes and saw a timid little girl standing not far away, holding a piece of dough in her tender hands. Seeing her childish look, Su Junming jumped off the back of the cow. The little girl was frightened and took 2 steps back, but did not run away. "Little guy, are you calling me?" Fortunately, although Su Junming looks ordinary, he is not ugly. The little girl stepped forward timidly and held the dough with both hands. "For you to eat?" He glanced at the thick pancake in his hand, which weighed 2 kilograms. "It's enough for an adult." Su Junming took it, smiled and touched her little head. "May I have your name?" "My name is Sidhu Minjio. What's your name?" "My uncle's name is Su Junming. Although he is over 200 years old, he still has a tender face." "Uncle Su, this pancake is baked by Grandma Li. It's delicious. You can try it." Come back." A gentle voice came from not far away. "My mother called me, Uncle. Goodbye." A big smile appeared on her young face. He turned around and ran bounding towards a carriage not far away. His 2 braids were flying in the wind, and his whole body was like a jumping deer, very happy. "Mom, I gave the noodles to the Taoist uncle." Following the words, the little girl threw herself into the arms of a beautiful middle-aged woman wearing a pale pink dress and a gold waving hairpin. The woman hugged her and touched the little guy's head, with a gentle and loving smile on her face. "We Minjio are awesome and have done another good deed." After comforting her daughter, the woman looked over at Su Junming. "Thank you, layman, for your charity." "You're welcome, Taoist master. If it's not enough, there's more here." "No need, a piece of bread is enough for my poor belly." After the woman nodded with a smile, she got into the car with her daughter in her arms, and, accompanied by several maids, headed towards the tall and majestic Chang'an City not far away. Become a disciple of Taoist priest 4 Eyes. Author, Dong Ren. Chapter 536. Goodbye, Uncle Taoist. Su Junming smiled and waved, looked at the dough in his hand, and shook his head slightly. "I never thought I would be given alms one day." Although he is also a Taoist priest and a monk in the eyes of ordinary people, he does not dress like he cannot afford to eat. But it's not a big deal, so you don't need to take it to heart. But the cause and effect of this meal must be repaid. With a flick of his fingers, a ray of spiritual light flew into the carriage like lightning, turned into a strand of hair, and was hidden behind the little girl's head. After doing this, Su Junming raised his head and looked at the city in front of him. Chang'an City is the same name as the Chinese world. But it is not the only one. Many places in this world are the same as the Chinese world. It doesn't look like a new world, but it looks like the Chinese world expanded 100 times. Unintentionally thinking about the cause and effect between the two parties, he urged Kuei Niu to walk towards the city. The huge Chang'an City has a circumference of nearly 100 miles, and the city walls made of blue bricks are as high as 5 feet. Although there are demons and ghosts in this world, they are not integrated into the secular world like the Liuzai world. Institutions like the Xianjing division do not exist here at all. The civil dynasty and the spiritual world are two completely unrelated parallel lines. Therefore, even an important city in the northwest like Chang'an is far less tall and majestic than a provincial city in Liuzai world. Su Junming urged the cattle to enter the city. With his ability, of course he did not need to pay any entry tax. After passing through the Wengchang, a simple stone road divides the city into two parts, the east and west. Rows of shops of various colors stretch to the end of the line of sight. People working in restaurants, shopping and doing business, eating and drinking, the whole street was packed to the brim. I haven't seen such a lively street market for a long time. Kuei Niu nodded in agreement. After the opening of Chongshan World, although the population of Daong in Liuzai World was increased, after being thrown into an area of 2 million miles, although it is not said to be uninhabited for 100 miles, it is not much different. Even if it is a place where people gather, it is not as crowded and bustling as here. Master, where are we going? Let's see if there is any haunting. Where should we go? Haunted? Kuei Niu was stunned. His master's idea was really extraordinary. Pa, the green bamboo stick came down. Stupid cow, what do you know? Subduing ghosts can not only gain merit, but also find a place to stay. Kill two birds with one stone. The master is wise. Then hurry up and leave. Kuei Niu didn't dare to neglect, and quickly walked towards the city. As for where it is haunted, Kuei Niu is a Yuan-Shen monk with extremely strong perception, so it will be easy to find him. Soon, one cow stopped outside the door of a large house. Under the wide eaves, the red paint on the heavy door is peeling off. On the broken plaque, the word Zhao Mansion is faintly visible. Pedestrians passing by all showed vigilance when they reached this point and subconsciously speeded up their pace. Master, the ghost spirit is the strongest here in the entire Chang'an city. Come on, let's go in. Su Junming nodded and said. It's a shame. Kuei Niu stepped up the 3 steps, Su Junming tapped the green bamboo stick in his hand, and the closed red door opened with a bang, followed by a strong wind that rolled up the dust and cobwebs on the ground and disappeared. Kuei Niu stepped into the hospital. When the passers-by around saw this scene, they all looked shocked. But soon a look of excitement emerged from his eyes. Look, look, someone has entered the old Zhao's ghost house again. It's true. This Taoist priest is really not afraid of death. It's probably from outside, otherwise someone would go quickly. Maybe this Taoist priest has real abilities. It's not like the old Zhao family hasn't invited a Taoist monk with real abilities, so he died inside. After so many years, the haunting incident in the old Zhao family has not been solved. Besides, seeing that the Taoist priest is so young, why? He doesn't seem to be a practicing person either. Everyone nodded. What a pity for a little Taoist priest. After everyone sighed for a few words, they dispersed. However, the news that someone else had entered the old Zhao family's haunted house still spread. Of course, everyone was gloating over the misfortune, and no one thought that the little Taoist priest could come out alive. No matter what they did, after walking around the screen wall, they saw a large courtyard in front of them. The floor is paved with green bricks and flowers and plants are planted around it. The main hall directly opposite is square and tall, and the wing rooms on both sides are also relatively complete. It is said that the wind is always blown away by the rain. What was a gorgeous house back then is now full of dead branches and leaves. The doors and windows of the house were broken, dogs were barking and cats were biting inside, and there was a faint smell of putrid smell. Su Junming took a look and frowned slightly. Go take a look at the back. Kuei Niu did as he was told and walked around the central courtyard from the hanging flower gate around the hall. A small lake covering an area of half an acre comes into view. A rockery is built on the lakeside. A pavilion is located on the lake, surrounded by green willows and red flowers. It is obviously decorated with some ingenuity. The long corridor connects the backyard and the left and right courtyards. This situation reminded Su Junming of the ghosts he encountered in Tanzhou City when he first entered the world to practice. I almost got stuck in it if I didn't pay attention at first. Shaking his head, he waved his bamboo stick, and a green light fell to the ground. In an instant, all the dead branches, leaves and dust were swept away. Su Junming jumped lightly and landed on a large blue stone not far away from the lake. Kuei Niu walked over. "Master, how about I just go and catch this old ghost and hand it over to you? As soon as your thunderbolt takes action, their vitality will be severely damaged, and they will be less useful when they come to the Emperor's tower." He waved his hand. "Go and tidy up this house." Kuei Niu was about to get up when he suddenly stopped, with a flattering smile on Niu's face. "Sir, you also know that the thunder magic I have cultivated is extremely violent and is really not suitable for the delicate work of sweeping the courtyard. Why don't you bring Qingfeng out? She has a quiet temperament and is best suited for this. You really think about your wife at all times." Half a century ago, the stupid cow finally picked the flower Qingfeng, and the two became Taoist couples. "Hey, sir, look. Go away, sir, I'm still single. If you want to show your love in front of me, there's no way." With a bamboo stick at hand, Kuei Niu was knocked out 3 feet away. Touching his head, Kuei Niu muttered, "Why don't you give in if you don't want to? Why beat the cow?" Su Junming turned around suddenly. The cold light in his eyes made Kuei Niu tremble, and the lightning flashed and disappeared instantly. "This stupid cow, if you don't fight for 3 days, you won't know what your last name is." After packing up the Kuei Niu, he turned around and looked at the lake in front of him. With the help of the bronze mirror, you can clearly see a blue-black chi vein thousands of feet deep under the lake, stretching for hundreds of miles. Yin veins. This is a yin vein formed by the condensed yin qi of the earth, the turbid qi of the earth, and the evil qi of the earth veins. It was also the largest yin vein he had ever seen. The waist of the yin vein, the place where the yin qi is the strongest and purest, is under the house. It is no wonder that this place has become a ghost house. To know yin qi, for monks and ghosts who practice yin attributes, the benefits are even greater than that of spiritual energy. Su Junming's practice of yin and yang also requires the yin pulse refining method. Especially recently, he is practicing a treasure. If he gets the help of this yin channel, this treasure will be perfect. Even so, he did not act impatiently, but chose to wait until dark. The sun is really strong at noon, so it's not a good time to do anything. Moreover, there are many ghosts in the yin vein, especially one whose cultivation level is not weak. If a fight breaks out inside and the yin meridians are injured, that is not what he wants. As a Yuan-Shen monk, Kuei Niu couldn't be more simple than cleaning a house that was no more than 3 acres in size. A few minutes passed. I used a few dust-repelling spells, and used magic power to clean up the dead branches and leaves, and it was over. To avoid making the sky angry, Su Junming simply drove it back to the palace treasure tree to reunite with the green phoenix. Time passes quickly after my ears are clean. Gradually, it became dark. Su Junming held a bamboo stick and waved a black lotus lantern, which appeared 3 feet in front of his left knee. The lotus lantern is 2 feet high and has no other decorations except the delicate lotus head. A large blue lamp flame is located in the amber sacred oil. Although the lamp is not big, the green light illuminates the surrounding area. Su Junming sat with his eyes closed, and his whole body was dyed a faint blue color by the light. Time passed little by little, and suddenly he opened his eyes. Coming. Giloo, a series of bubbles sounded, and then a black shadow flew out from the bottom of the water, landing and turning into an old man wearing a black robe with a sinister face. Looking at Su Junming, a cold look appeared on his face. "Hey, I didn't expect that in the past 3 years, someone who is not afraid of death will come again." As expected of the Zhongqian world, Any old ghost has the cultivation of Jindan. Boy, you. The words were particularly lost. As soon as Su Junming pointed out, the old man seemed to freeze all over. With a gesture of his hand, the old man was thrown into the Kasadagarbha divine gate by Su Junming like a puppet and was temporarily imprisoned. Thousands of feet underground, among the thick yin veins, there is a palace built entirely of rock. There is a plaque above the palace gate with the words Ghost King Hall written in vigorous and extraordinary style. On the throne inside the palace, a middle-aged man with a thin face, wearing a green cloak with 5 ghosts embroidered on his chest, opened his eyes. 2 rays of light flashed away. Xingyu actually failed. It seems that the person coming tonight is still somewhat decent. Upon noticing his movements, all the large and small ghosts and ghosts practicing with their eyes closed around them opened their eyes. Ghost Lord. You can go out with me later. Yes. Led by the middle-aged man, the ghosts left the Ghost King's palace and instantly crossed 1,000 feet to reach the lake at the Zhao family's old residence. Looking at the green-robed Taoist sitting cross-legged on the rocks by the lake, a tall and thin young man volunteered. Ghost Lord, let me capture this person. Be careful. The middle-aged man nodded. Being cautious by nature, he wished that a ghost would first explore the truth of the Taoist. Su Junming was too lazy to talk to them. He waved his bamboo stick and a small black bell condensed in mid-air. The bell rang, and the power of falling souls exploded. The ghosts around him seemed to be drunk for an instant, falling to the ground one after another. A flash of green light erupted from the arms of the leading middle-aged man, and a bead the size of a child's fist, burning with green fire, flew out of his arms.